Chapter 5692 Taiji Diagram. The old man curled his lips. They definitely won't be able to go. If the fierce beasts are still passable, the demonic beasts and spirit beasts will be corroded to death by the demonic chi when they arrive at the demon race continent. Yun Chujio said regretfully, "That's such a pity. It's their loss that they don't have such good fortune." Senior, what great technique are you preparing to cultivate by trapping these cultivators and demonic beasts with thunder spirit roots? Do you need me to do any preparations? The old man was now certain that Yun Chujio had completely submitted to him, so he did not hide anything. He said, "I have been trapped in this Chenkuan arcane realm for many years. Although my life is not in danger, the days I have been trapped here are really depressing. The seal of this Chenkuan arcane realm is quite strong. Even if I used demonic chi to corrode it for 10,000 years, it only loosened a little. It was precisely because the seal loosened a little that the universe's secret realm surfaced from the ground. I racked my brains to come up with a method. The power of lightning is the strongest power in this world. Only by borrowing the power of lightning can I completely break the seal. Coincidentally, I know of an array formation. By burning their spiritual roots, they can obtain extremely strong power of lightning. This way they might be able to break the seal. Although this method is extremely risky after all, we demons are still more afraid of the power of lightning. However, in order to obtain freedom as soon as possible, I can only take the risk and give it a try." Yun Chujio looked around and then said in puzzlement, "Senior, are you joking? Where is the seal here? Besides, I see that your magical power is boundless and doesn't look like you are being imprisoned. Please don't lie to me." The old man smiled with some self-satisfaction. "This little bit of mana is nothing. It's not even 1% of what I was at my peak. As for the seal, didn't you notice that there's a blue sky full of stars but no sun and moon?" Yun Chujio nodded. "Yes, why is there no sun and moon?" The old man waved his hand, and a streak of black gas went straight to the top of the cave. On the left side of the top of the cave, a red sun slowly appeared, and on the right side, a crescent moon appeared. Just as Yun Chujio was surprised, the red sun and the crescent moon actually started to rotate. In the end, they actually turned into two yin-yang fish and finally formed a Taiji diagram. The Taiji diagram emitted an ancient aura. The 6 demon wolves could not help but kneel on the ground and tremble. Seeing this, Yun Chujio quickly pretended to be intimidated by the pressure and said with a trembling voice, This is a seal? It's too terrifying." The old man's eyes revealed a look of hatred. "If this thing had not been suppressing me, I would have already accomplished my great cause. It's really hateful. However, most of my magic power had been sealed. Coupled with the loss of these years, it was already less than 1% of my peak. I could only gamble." The Taiji diagram seemed to only appear when one felt the demonic chi. At this time, the cave ceiling had already returned to its previous state. Yun Chujio stood up. "Senior, you said that this method is a bit risky. Is there no other way? I really don't want you to take the risk. If there is another way, just tell me. I will do my best." The old man nodded. "You're a good girl. I will not mistreat you in the future. Actually, it is not that there is no other way. It is just too difficult. It is several times more difficult than using these thunder spirit root cultivators and demonic beasts to set up a formation." "What way?" "If we had the ancient divine weapon, the Heaven Punisher divine axe, to destroy a few of the array holes on the cave ceiling, then the seal would naturally be broken. Unfortunately, 10,000 years have passed. Regardless of where the Heaven Punisher divine axe is, even if it has already appeared in the world, it's impossible for someone to come and save me." The old man sighed. Chapter 5693 Demon God Contract. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. No wonder she felt the ground tremble when she used the kitchen knife to cut the cave ceiling. She must have accidentally destroyed a formation core. Of course she was not a fool. Naturally, she would not be so foolish as to say that she had the Heaven Punisher divine axe. The old man sighed. "That is indeed not easy. It seems that we can only take the risk and try using the formation. However, the demon race is undying and indestructible. You do not have to worry too much. That being said, after rebirth the cultivation will be very weak. It is better to not die as a last resort." The old man sighed. Yun Chujio chatted with the old man for a while. In her heart, she calculated that this was the first time the demon race had contracted with her. How should she operate it? Previously, when she contracted Buttface and the others, they were the ones who took the initiative to establish the contract with her. She was passive and did not know how to operate it at all. Why not try using the ordinary demon beast method? Using the beast taming technique? Would it work? This guy thought for a moment and tried to find something to say. Senior, you must have had many subordinates before, right? Other than using your reputation to make them submit, do you have any other methods to control? The old man looked at her suspiciously. Why are you asking about this? I'm just a little curious. After all, the demon race is so powerful. How can they be willing to be controlled by others? If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Just pretend that I didn't ask. Yun Chujio said somewhat embarrassedly. The old man curled his lips. This isn't a secret. For my confidants, I will establish a demon god contract with them. The demon god contract has one side as the master and the other as the servant. It's similar to how humans contract demon beast. However, the risk of a demonic contract is greater. If the master's spiritual sense is not as strong as the servant's spiritual sense, it is very likely that the master and servant of the demonic contract will be switched. Yun Chujio showed a hesitant look at first, then knelt on the ground with a determined look. Senior, this junior is willing to establish a demonic contract with you. Only then can you completely trust me and treat me as your confidant. You will not abandon me in the future. The old man frowned. There's no need for that. As long as you work hard for me, I will naturally trust you. Yun Chujio's eyes immediately reddened. You lied to me. When you regain your freedom, there will definitely be many people who will seek refuge with you. I'm also such a trash. When that time comes, how will you still remember me? So you should establish a dem. You can't be afraid that my spiritual sense is stronger than yours, so you don't dare to establish a demonic god contract with me, right? Yun Chujio's face immediately paled when she said this. Senior, I was just spouting nonsense. Please don't blame me. The old man's expression was a little unsightly. After a long while, he said, All right, since you insist, I'll fulfill your wish. The old man was a little unhappy, but he could only endure it for now since there was no one available. Moreover, after establishing the demon god contract, he felt more at ease. He let Yun Chujio bite the index finger of his right hand. Then he formed a seal with both hands and a drop of black liquid floated out from his forehead. The liquid wrapped around the blood that was squeezed out from Yun Chujio's index finger and floated into the air. The old man kept waving his hands and an obscure spell leaked out from his mouth. The black liquid and the red blood bead finally blended together and then split into two, hiding between Yun Chujio and the old man's brows. Chapter 5694. Do you eat wolf meat? Just as the liquid merged into the old man's and Yun Chujio's brows, Yun Chujio noticed that the liquid had turned into several streaks of black chi that lingered in her sea of consciousness. In addition, she noticed that her spiritual sense seemed to have invaded the old man's spiritual sense, but it was very weak. This was probably the difference between a master and a servant. If she wanted to switch between master and servant, she needed to suppress the black chi in her sea of consciousness. At the same time, she also needed to strengthen her control over the old man's spiritual sense. However, she could not act rashly for the time being. This old thing's cultivation was much higher than hers. Moreover, this was his territory, so she had to take things slowly. When the old man saw that the contract was successful, his attitude towards Yun Chujio became better. After all, once the demonic god contract was established, he did not need to worry about the little girl in front of him having any other intentions, because a single thought from him could make her suffer so much that she wished she could live or even die. As for the possibility that the demon god contract might have a master-servant swap, it was not within the old man's considerations. Yun Chujio's face revealed an extremely happy expression. Senior, I will definitely do my best to serve you in the future. I wonder if you can get used to the food of our human race? Why don't I kill a demon wolf and roast it for you, the 6 demon wolves? Doesn't your conscience hurt when you say that? The old man was very satisfied with Yun Chujio's hospitality. He smiled and said, I don't care about the appetite. Besides, it doesn't matter if the demon race doesn't eat for a long time. I'm a little tired. Help me keep an eye on these humans and demon beasts. I'll take a short break. Senior, don't worry. Not even an ant can escape, let alone these cultivators and demon beasts. Yun Chujio said confidently. The old man nodded in satisfaction. His whole body turned into a cloud of black mist and disappeared into the ceiling of the cave. Afraid that the old man was observing her in the dark, Hei Shinjio pretended to be on high alert. She looked around as carefully as she could. However, a dim light flashed in her lowered eyes, and she established a connection Wintini Dum Cuties Mtini Spiritual Beast Pauknagam. As soon as she established a connection, Hun Dun said in a muffled voice, You were fooled by Buttface. It is impossible for a human to contract a demon. He's just talking nonsense. Buttface quibbled, just because others can't do it, doesn't mean that the little fairy can't do it. Others can't contract with you, so why are you obediently here now? Hun Dun was infuriated by Buttface. I just haven't grown any hair. Otherwise, I will kill you, you son of a bitch. Alright, stop arguing. Let me ask you, do you know about the demon god contract? I have established a demon god contract with that old thing now. How can I quickly swap master and servant? Yin Chujio asked. Hun Dun was stunned at first, then he roared, are you a pig? You actually established a demon god contract with him? Swap master and servant? What a fantasy. If I knew you were so stupid, I wouldn't have established a contract with you in the first place. Yun Chujio frowned, that Shimo said that as long as the servant's spiritual sense is strong enough, he can swap master and servant. My spiritual sense is definitely stronger than his. Why can't I swap master and servant? Hun Dun glared at Buttface. Speak. Buttface realized that he had most likely caused trouble. He said weakly, that little fairy, since the demon god contract is called the demon god contract, it is because this kind of contract is mainly aimed at the demon race. The side that can become the master can only be the demon race, and you are a human, so, you know. Chapter 5695. Dog 2's quick thinking. Yun Chujio was stunned for a moment before she gritted her teeth and said, what you mean is that it's impossible for me to switch places. I can only be that old devil's servant, right? Dog 2 shrunk its neck. Little fairy, you are too reckless. I said that you can contract him, but I didn't say that you can establish a demonic god contract with him. This is not my fault. Very good, very good. Buttface, it seems that I have been too merciful to you. After I settle the matter in front of me, I will let you know what it means to be miserable. Yun Chujio sneered. She was so regretful that her intestines were turning green. No wonder that old devil had established a demonic god contract with her so easily. It turned out that he was certain that there was no possibility of swapping master and servant. Damn Buttface. When the other dumb cubs heard this, they immediately began to beat up Buttface. It was because of his careless words that they were all implicated. He was really asking for a beating. Buttface was beaten up until he cried like a ghost and howled like a wolf. In his panic he shouted, wait. Little fairy, I thought of a crucial matter. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and gestured for the other dumb cubs to let go of him. She asked, what is it? Buttface narrowed his swollen eyes and said, little fairy, your parents are suspected of the demon race. You might also have the bloodline of the demon race. Moreover, you were the ghost ancestor and the demon ancestor in your previous life. You are definitely not a human. Maybe you can successfully swap master and servant. Why don't you give it a try? If you don't succeed, you can deal with me later. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. What Buttface said was not without reason. It was better to give it a try first. She failed, it would not matter. That old devil was very fond of achievement and needed manpower urgently. She could fool him. I will try to switch master and servant in a while. If there is any progress, that old devil will definitely kill me. When that time comes, it will be up to you. Buttface immediately said confidently, little fairy, don't worry. I, Buttface, will protect you with my life. Hun Dun angrily slapped Buttface away. You weakling. Get out of my way. If I wait for you to save the little girl, grass will grow on her grave. Buttface fell and choked. He said angrily, that's because I haven't recovered my strength. Otherwise, you Baldy wouldn't be a match for me. Hun Dun's biggest taboo was to be called Baldy, so he immediately wanted to fight with Buttface. Yun Chujio said with a cold face, enough. If you want to fight, wait until I take care of the old devil. If I fail, all of you won't be able to recover. All of you be more energetic. After saying that, Yun Chujio gave another order to the 6 demon wolves and then began to sit cross-legged and meditate. The 6 demon wolves looked at each other. They were really unlucky. This female devil actually wanted to contract that old devil. Wasn't she courting death? But what could they do? They could only obey obediently. Otherwise, they would definitely die before this female devil. In Yun Chujio's sea of consciousness, the Yuan Shen that was quietly meditating suddenly opened its eyes. Its sharp gaze swept across the surrounding black gas in her sea of consciousness. With a sudden wave of her hand, several purple lightning bolts shot towards the black gas. Her attack was very sudden. At this time the old man was taking a nap. It was the time when he was most relaxed. Thus, those purple lightning bolts seemed to have struck the black gas. The black gas immediately weakened a little, but it also woke the old man up. A thunderous roar sounded in Yun Chujio's spiritual sense. Junior, what are you trying to do? Yun Chujio ignored him and continued to command the purple lightning to attack the black gas. Since the black gas could weaken, it meant that there was a possibility of it turning back to its master. She could not give up halfway. Chapter 5696 must be an illusion. The old man's shocked and angry voice sounded again. You are actually a heavenly thunder spirit root. You are actually not a human. Tell me, who are you? Yun Chujio naturally did not pay attention to him. The purple lightning kept striking at the black fog. Suddenly the black fog turned into black poisonous snakes, crazily biting Yun Chujio's spiritual sense. Darn girl, do you think you can swap master and servant? You're delusional. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. I'll use you to make up the numbers. One heavenly thunder spirit root is equivalent to hundreds of ordinary thunder spirit roots. You'll definitely be able to completely break my seal. Although the old man was furious from embarrassment, he wasn't too worried. How powerful could a little girl's spiritual sense be? He could easily destroy her spiritual sense, and then he could use the array formation to gain freedom. However, he was soon shocked to find that the purple lightning could easily damage the black poisonous snake. What shocked him even more was that hundreds of Qi Ling appeared out of nowhere and crazily pounced on the black poisonous snake. How was this possible? How could a person contract so many Qi Ling? It must be an illusion. Among those Qi Ling, there were the Qi Ling of the immortal sword, and most of them were the Qi Ling of other immortal weapons. They were almost suffocated to death. The smelly girl had deceived them from the ancient sword tomb and said that she would let them go free, but she had been locked up until now. Those immortal swords could occasionally go out for a stroll, but they were so good that they were going to be locked up for life. However, they did not dare to resist. The only thing that made them happy was that as Yun Chujie's spiritual sense became stronger, their cultivation had also increased compared to before. Of course, the happiest thing was that there was someone who did not have eyes who wanted to devour Yun Chujie's primordial spirit. This way they could have a full meal, which was much better than slowly cultivating. Therefore those black poisonous snakes were fragrant food in their eyes. At this time the weapon spirits were going crazy with joy. Finally someone blind came. It was really wonderful. As the black poisonous snakes gradually dissipated, Yun Chujio could feel that the strand of divine sense that she had invaded into the old man's sea of consciousness became stronger. The purple divine sense turned into several small lightning bolts that surrounded the old man's sea of consciousness. Yun Chujio's mind flashed, and those purple lightning bolts struck towards the old man's divine sense. The old man couldn't help but let out a miserable cry. The old man gnashed. This lord has fallen into your trap. This lord originally wanted to keep your main body to set up the array. Since you are courting death, this lord will send you on your way. At the same time, the old man's main body also floated out from the top of the cave. After condensing into a human shape, he swung his palm towards Yun Chujio, who was meditating. Seeing this, the 6 demon wolves immediately shot out a few wind blades at the old man. The old man released a few streaks of black gas, and those wind blades instantly turned into nothingness. A mere 6 demon wolves want to stop me? How naive. After the old man finished speaking, he waved his sleeve, wanting to use his murderous aura to control the 6 demon wolves. In this way the 6 demon wolves would be like the demon beasts trapped in the cage, losing their mind and becoming stupid. Then the old man was stunned to discover that it was actually useless. He could not help but be stunned. This did not make sense. He had deliberately placed the water droplets containing the baleful aura in the tunnel, as well as the lightning stones that were tainted with the baleful aura. Why were these demon wolves not affected? Although the old man was somewhat puzzled, he did not panic too much. Even if he did not use the baleful aura to control them, it would not be a big problem for him to kill these 6 demon wolves. As long as he killed these 6 demon wolves, he would be able to kill that darn girl who had the audacity to deceive him. Chapter 5697 The master-servant relationship was switched. 6 streams of black gas overflowed from the old man's hand and transformed into a black poisonous snake that pounced towards the 6-headed demon wolf. The 6-headed demon wolf was also going all out at this moment. It used the energy it used to shoot at Yun Chujio and desperately shot out wind blades. This was because they knew that they were now on the same boat as Yun Chujio. If Yun Chujio did not survive, they would not survive either. The old man smiled contemptuously. He released 6 streams of black gas again and turned into a black poisonous snake that charged at the 6-headed demon wolf. One of his ears was bitten by a poisonous snake. Immediately, a murderous aura entered his body and his eyes turned red. He was stunned on the spot. Soon after, the other 5 demon wolves were also bitten by the black poisonous snake. All of them were stunned. The old man sneered. He did not kill the 6 demon wolves because he wanted to keep the 6 demon wolves in formation. Just as the old man was about to command the poisonous snake to pounce on Yun Chujio, he heard a muffled voice, "You old fart. You still want to contract a little girl? You really overestimate yourself. If you contract her, won't you contract me in a different way? You're really courting death. You're forcing me to sing. I'll sing for you now." The old man turned his head and saw a monster wearing a green sweater appear out of thin air. Although the monster had 4 legs, it didn't have claws. Its 2 bell-sized eyes didn't have any eyeballs and its ears were drooping. The old man's eyes were wide open. It looked like a bear with long fur. Yes, it had a sweater covering its body, 4 legs without claws, 2 eyes and 2 ears. It was the ancient fierce beast, Hun Dun, right? How did the majestic ancient vicious beast become like this? Hun Dun did not pay attention to him. A mesmerizing song drifted out. The old man's expression turned cold. He hurriedly circulated his demonic chi to resist and commanded the black poisonous snakes to pounce on Yun Chujio. At this moment, a ball of flames smashed toward the black poisonous snakes. The black poisonous snakes instantly dissipated. The old man looked at the fat black crow flapping its wings on the ground in disbelief. Nirvana fire? Ancient black phoenix? Aren't all the black phoenixes dead? You're the one who's dead. This young master is still alive and well. You old fart, you actually dared to provoke my master. You're really courting death. The old man was shocked and ecstatic. What was shocking was that an ordinary-looking little girl actually had Hun Dun and the ancient black phoenix. He was ecstatic that the divine beast and vicious beast must have signed an equal contract with that stinky girl. After he killed that stinky girl, Hun Dun and the ancient black phoenix would be his. The old man formed a seal with his hands and released several black poisonous snakes again. These poisonous snakes were different from the previous ones. Not only were there more of them, but they also had horns on their heads. So, to be precise, these were black poisonous snakes. Although Xiao Hanyo could spit out nirvana flames, there was a pause in between. For a moment it could not protect Yun Chujio. At this moment, several figures appeared out of thin air. The white tiger stretched out its sharp claws and pounced at one of the poisonous flood dragons. Xiao Hei stretched out its claws and slapped at one of the poisonous flood dragons. Xiao Mogu stretched out its mycelium and wrapped it around one of the poisonous flood dragons. The few rabbits also pounced towards one of the poisonous flood dragons. Xiao Hong the red fox did not join in the battle. It stood beside Hun Dun and roared. Although its heavenly fox 9 howls could not compare to the power of Hun Dun's singing, it could still lend Hun Dun a helping hand. When the old man saw that the poisonous flood dragons that he had released were dispersed, he could not help but take a few steps back. He could recognize the white tiger and the stone-eating rat, but what the hell were Xiao Mogu and those few strange-looking rabbits? And could it be that the crying red fox had the bloodline of the 9-tailed fox? Chapter 5698. He was the joke. How could that stinky girl have so many spiritual pets? And they were all so extraordinary? Could it be because she had the heavenly thunder spirit root? Only then did he remember a huge question. The heavenly thunder spirit root was not tolerated by Tian Dao, but that stinky girl was still alive and kicking. Could it be that Tian Dao did not discover her existence? How was this possible? Just as the old man was feeling bewildered, a sharp pain came from his spiritual sense. It turned out that while he was fighting with these stupid cuties, there were not many black poisonous snakes left that had invaded Yun Chujio's sea of consciousness. Correspondingly, the spiritual sense that Yun Chujio had invaded his sea of consciousness became stronger and stronger. The purple lightning had already covered more than half of his sea of consciousness. The master-servant relationship of the demon-god contract was completely reversed. At this moment, Yun Chujio, who was originally sitting cross-legged, opened her eyes. A brilliant smile appeared on her face. "Old servant, why aren't you kneeling and paying respects to your master when you see him?" Due to the intense pain in his spiritual sense, the old man's face had already twisted from the pain. He had been tricked. This stinky girl had deliberately released her spiritual pet intermittently to divert his attention. And she had taken advantage of this moment to completely reverse the demonic god contract. He could feel that the spiritual sense that had invaded the stinky girl's sea of consciousness was so weak that it almost disappeared. If not for the demonic god contract, it would have been completely devoured. And the stinky girl's spiritual sense had completely invaded his sea of consciousness. It was even more powerful than the amount that he had invaded her sea of consciousness before. The purple lightning had almost covered more than half of his sea of consciousness. The intense pain at this time was just a piece of cake. If she wanted to, his spiritual sense would be completely crippled. The old man was very unwilling, very depressed. However, he could do nothing. One wrong move and the whole game would be lost. Seeing that the old man didn't move, Yun Chujio snorted, "Old fool, didn't you hear what I said? Come over and greet master." "Old fool?" The old man was so angry that Yazi was about to burst. He endured the pain of his spiritual sense and gritted his teeth. A scholar can be killed but not humiliated. Shamoy will not submit to a human like you. At most, I will be reborn. Yin Chujio, what's your name? Shamoy? Samyed? Why did you call it a dog name? The old man, although he did not know what Samyed was, he was still very. His body was covered in a layer of black fog, and he stretched out his hands and began to form seals. Hun Dun shouted from the side, "Not good, he's going to self-destruct." Yun Chujio was also very frightened. This old thing's temper was too fierce. He was going to self-destruct at the slightest disagreement. What should she do? Although she could hide in the great void mystic realm, what about Sect Master Yuan and the 6 silly wolves? As for whether Deputy Director Xiaofu and the others would live or die, it was not within this fellow's considerations. They would die wherever they were willing to die. None of them were good. At this moment, Hun Dun and Xiao Hanio had already begun to attack the old man. They wanted to stop him from self-destructing, but they did not know what the black fog was. Neither the white tiger's sharp claws nor Xiao Hanio's nirvana fire could break through it. At this moment, Buttface, who was inside the spirit beast bag, roared, "Little fairy, try to put him into the spirit beast bag. Maybe this old thing is the same as Qiying." Qiying, who was curled up in the corner, glared at Buttface angrily. What a whimsical thought. It was one thing for him to be unlucky, but he still wanted to put the demon into the spirit beast bag? What a joke. Plop. A black shadow appeared in the spirit beast pouch, accompanied by an angry roar. "Where is this place? How did I become like this?" Qiying, alright, he is the joke. Chapter 5699 Demon Nurturing Specialist Buttface looked at the black shadow and said fiercely, "Where is this?" "This is the little fairy's spirit beast pouch. You old fart. It's because of you that I, Lord Buttface, have been beaten to such a state. Just you wait, when all my underlings are here, he'll beat you to death." Shiamo had now turned into a ball of black mist. After hearing Buttface's words, he immediately shouted angrily, "Bullshit. You're spouting nonsense. PM a noble Shiamo, how could I be put into a spirit beast pouch? It must be that smelly girl who used some kind of scheme to bring me to this dark place." Buttface clicked his tongue and said, "Old fool, you really are a silly demon. Just accept your fate. This was the little fairy's spirit beast pouch. Hey, that rabbit was originally a human, but now it's also obediently hiding in the spirit beast pouch. Let me tell you, our little fairy is a pervert. Things that are impossible with others are possible with her. You old fool, you even made the little fairy acknowledge you as her master before. She'll have a good time in the future." At this moment, Hei Shinjio, who was outside, had a dumbfounded expression. She actually put Shiamo into the spirit beast pouch? She was a professional demon slayer, wouldn't she become a demon breeder in the future? Did she have to be so outstanding? This guy was infatuated with himself for a while. When he remembered that he still had something important to do, he quickly put Hun Dun and the others into the spiritual beast bag. This guy looked at the people in the cage and narrowed his eyes. Although it would be glorious if she became the savior of these people, a tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. It was better not to take this credit. Moreover, she could not explain what had happened. Therefore, Hei Shinjo did not pay attention to the people in the cage and released the demonic beasts. These demonic beasts were now filled with a murderous aura. They were all in a daze. Even when the door was opened, none of them moved. Yun Chujio put all the demonic beasts into the spiritual beast bag. As for the humans, there would naturally be reinforcements. In this way, there was no need for her to explain and no one would suspect her. After all, she was a good-for-nothing. She was really too kind. She always did good deeds without leaving her name behind. After taking a few steps, the fellow turned back. The student from the upper house had seen her before. Leaving her alive would be a disaster. Yun Chujio directly let the small flame burn the student into ashes. After destroying the corpse, she left the stone hall. On the way, this guy had even kept all the scattered lightning stones in his bag. She had even subdued Shiamo, so she was naturally not afraid of the little murderous aura on the lightning stones. Unfortunately, when this guy reached the entrance of the death cave, he was blocked by an invisible barrier. Hei Shinjio was stunned at first, then came to a realization. Shiamo was sealed in the death cave, so she had to remove the seal first before she could leave this place. Therefore this fellow ran back and chopped the top of the cave into pieces. Only then did he return to the entrance of the cave. As expected, he successfully exited the death cave this time. I say, Samoya, you should thank me properly. If it weren't for me, you might not have been able to escape even if you set up a great array, Hei Shinjo said slyly with her spiritual sense. When Shaimo saw Hun Dun and the others, he had no choice but to believe he had been put into the spirit beast pouch in a daze. At this moment, he heard Yun Chujia's voice as she gnashed her teeth and said, I advise you to release me immediately so that I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise you will regret it sooner or later. Buttface roared, You old fool, how dare you talk nonsense. Brothers beat him up. Chapter 5700, What a painful realization upon hearing this, the silly cubs immediately rushed forward and gave Shaimo a fierce beating. Damn it, they actually thought that their master would become his servant, then what were they? Weren't they the servant's spiritual pets? Shaimo originally thought that his body was condensed from a baleful aura and wouldn't feel pain, but he was wrong. Shaimo's miserable cry came from the spiritual beast bag. Ching shrank back into the corner. These animals did not care about the severity of their attacks. It was better not to provoke them. What a painful realization. Yun Chujio did not stop Buttface and the others from attacking. This old devil was asking for a beating. It would be good for him to learn his lesson. After coming out of the death cave, Yun Chujio released Goei Batsao and let it scout ahead to avoid meeting the reinforcements of the Academy of 10 Directions. The next morning, Yun Chujio sensed the warning of the Goei Batsao and moved to a place where the lightning-struck rocks were produced to avoid the reinforcements. After another 2 hours, Yun Chujio released the demonic beast. Fortunately, the area where the lightning-struck rocks were produced was very large. Otherwise, it would not be able to hold so many demonic beasts. This fellow wanted to subdue these demonic beasts, but she could not afford to raise them. It was already difficult for her to raise Xiao Hanyo and Xiao Mogu, so how could she have the extra power of lightning to feed them? Not to mention there were 3 gluttons in her dantian. Yun Chujio released Shaimo and ordered him to retrieve the murderous aura from those demonic beasts. Shaimo was very scheming. Although he had suffered a heavy blow from the poop, he had not collapsed even after being trapped for 10,000 years. Naturally, he would not give up just because of the unforeseen circumstances. As soon as he was released, he returned to his previous appearance. His eyes flickered a few times and without any nonsense, he withdrew the devilish aura from the demonic beasts. He sneered in his heart. This stinky girl was really smart and muddle-headed. Once these demonic beasts regained their consciousness, the first thing they would do would probably be to eat her. Although they had signed a demonic god contract, as long as one of them died, the demonic god contract would be cancelled. Although he could not personally kill this stinky girl, using the demonic beast to kill people was also a good choice. After he withdrew the murderous aura from the demonic beasts, he formed a seal with his hands and was about to self-destruct. Yun Chujio had no choice but to put him back into the spiritual beast pouch. This was exactly what he wanted to kill the demons. If he stayed outside, once the demonic beasts attacked the stinky girl would definitely let him take action. It's in your dreams. Very soon, the stinky girl would be eaten by the demonic beasts until there were no bones left. At that time he would be free. At the same time he could also subdue so many divine beasts and fierce beasts. It was simply a blessing in disguise. The murderous aura on the demonic beasts was withdrawn and they immediately regained their consciousness. The demonic beasts were momentarily stunned. They quickly reacted with one ear and ran to Yun Chujia's side. They thought to themselves, since they had already left the cave of death, did that mean that this female demon had really contracted that demon? Oh my god. What kind of pervert was this? Fortunately, they were tactful and did not go against her. Otherwise they would not even know how they died. Yun Chujio was currently standing at the exit of the lightning strike stone producing area. She glanced at the demon beasts that were still confused about the situation before her and said with a chuckle, You were trapped in the death cave previously. I risked my life to save you. Shouldn't you give me some lightning strike stones as a thank you gift? Chapter 5701 Extortion. As Yun Chujio did not cut off Shaimo's spiritual sense connection, Shaimo could also see the situation outside. When he heard Yun Chujio say this, he sneered in his heart. This stinky girl really wanted money but not her life. She actually dared to extort these demonic beasts? She was really courting death. Those demonic beasts thought the same. The thunder beast bear closest to Yun Chujio roared and slapped the ground with its claws. Immediately, several vines formed from thunder-type spiritual power shot out from Yun Chujio's feet. They wrapped around Yun Chujio tightly. Sharp thorns grew on the vines. Almost instantly Yun Chujia's clothes were dyed red with blood. The demonic bear let out a disdainful roar. How could such a weak chicken try to extort them? It was simply overestimating itself. They had been hiding at the side obediently with one ear. Their eyes were full of pity as they looked at the demonic bear. This idiot would soon know what it meant by regretting it back then. The spiritual power vines on Yun Chujia's body quickly dissipated. Although the demon bear was somewhat puzzled by the speed at which the spiritual power vines dissipated, it did not pay too much attention to it. It released a few more vines. It felt that it could definitely kill the little weakling in front of it this time. However, it discovered in disbelief that the speed at which the spiritual power vines disappeared this time was even faster than before. Although the little weakling was covered in blood. However, it did not show any signs of dying. Instead, it became even more energetic. The demon bear thought that it must have been hallucinating. It released its spiritual power vines again and again. Then, due to the huge loss of spiritual power, it collapsed to the ground while panting heavily. Yun Chujio walked up to it and kicked it. Why are you pretending to be dead? Continue to release the vines. The demon bear. Yun Chujio ignored the demonic bear and looked at the rest of the demonic beasts. To tell you the truth, I'm not afraid of your lightning attacks at all. In my eyes, you're just a group of ordinary beasts without spiritual power. If I want to kill you, it's as easy as squashing an ant. If you obediently pay me a thank you fee, it's fine. Otherwise, I'll kill you and make you into jerky. The demonic beasts were naturally not intimidated. They did not think that Yun Chujio was very powerful. It must be that idiot, the demonic bear, who had gone on a mission. Immediately, another wild lion walked in front of Yun Chujio and spat out several wind blades from its bloody mouth. Yun Chujio only avoided the vital parts and allowed the wind blades to cut her body. This fellow had a faint smile on his face, but his heart was aching. For the sake of the lightning strike stone, for the sake of turning this place into his lightning spiritual energy storage. She was going all out. The mad lion spat out a few waves of wind blades, but when it saw that Yun Chujio was still standing there with a faint smile on her face, it suddenly felt a little apprehensive. Could it be that this wretched girl was really not afraid of the lightning attack? Even if she was not afraid of the lightning attack, could she still block its sharp claws? Thinking of this, the mad lion suddenly attacked and pounced towards Yun Chujio. Its sharp claws went straight for Yun Chujio's vital points. Yun Chujio's pupils contracted. She immediately turned sideways to avoid the mad lion's attack. With a wave of her hand, several small purple needles rushed towards the mad lion. When the mad lion saw those small purple needles, although it was a little surprised that they were actually purple, it did not take these small things seriously at all. So, it was a tragedy. When the small purple needles exploded, the mad lion cried out in pain. Its golden fur also turned into charred curly fur. Yun Chujio sneered and immediately summoned 18 flying swords. The flying swords flew up and down around the mad lion. The mad lion was completely gone. Chapter 5702 Life-Saving Grace. The mad lion saw the fur all over the floor and fainted with a choking sound. It felt that there was no hope for the lion's life. It would not be able to survive in the Thunder Valley in the future. In the future, which lioness would take a fancy to it? It would be a bachelor for the rest of its life. The demonic beasts behind were also stunned by the scene in front of them. It seemed that this human brat was really not afraid of lightning-type attacks, and she was too despicable. Killing beasts was just a nod of the head. Was there a need to be so ruthless? When the demonic beasts thought of the beautiful scene of themselves being stripped of their fruits, they subconsciously took a few steps back. The Sha'amo in Yun Chujio's spiritual beast bag was shocked and angry. It was naturally shocked that Yun Chujio was really not afraid of lightning-type attacks. It was angry that these demonic beasts were all stupid. Why did they all attack at the same time? Why did they attack one by one? Were they stupid? This was the part where Yun Chujio was smarter than him. Yun Chujio knew demonic beasts too well. Demonic beasts were all very cunning. If they all charged forward at the same time, who would be the spoils of war? Moreover, they all had the instinct to seek benefits and avoid harm. Before confirming the level of the risk, they would not act rashly. Yun Chujio glanced at the mad lion that had fainted. She withdrew her 18 flying swords and looked at the rest of the demonic beasts. Did you see that? If you go against me, you will end up like this. This is just a piece of cake. I still have many trump cards that I have yet to use. If you don't believe me, take a look at who he is. As Yun Chujio spoke, she released Sha'amo before Sha'amo could say anything. She put him back into her spirit beast pouch. Some of the demonic beasts had seen Xiaomo before. When they saw this scene, they were all dumbfounded. This little human girl actually subdued that demon? How was this possible? How could the demon race be put into the spirit beast pouch? He was an demonic beast. See? It was him who trapped you in the cave of death back then and prepared to use your spirit roots to set up an evil formation. If it wasn't for me, you would have already died. You should give yourself to me for saving your lives. I will give you two choices. One is to become my spiritual pet and work for me in the future, and the other is to give me the lightning strike stone as a thank you gift. Which one do you choose? The demon beasts that had been resisting earlier had been thrown into the clouds after seeing Xiaomo. What a joke. The old demon had been taken care of by the Sti. Therefore, He Xingjiu began to collect the lightning strike stones delightedly. These demonic beasts all had their own storage space. What was picked up by Director Xiaofu and the others was only a handful. Most of them were in their storage space. Moreover, in order to attract these demonic beasts, Xiaomo had placed quite a number of lightning strike stones in the death cave. Therefore, these demonic beasts were quite wealthy. Xiaomo's lightning strike stones had been painstakingly collected over the past 10,000 years. In the end, all of them had been used as a wedding dress for He Xingjiu. Xiaomo was about to go crazy from anger. Idiots. A bunch of idiots. They had been frightened just like that. However, no matter how angry he was, it was useless. He couldn't even protect himself now, let alone stop those demonic beasts. Buttface said leisurely, "Old fool, did you see that? The little fairy is so smart and so cunning. I advise you to repent sincerely or you will suffer." Xiaomo was so angry that he twitched and shouted coldly, "Qiongqi, you are a fierce beast, but now you have become her dog. You are really willing to degenerate." After chapter 5703, I will collect the protection fee. Buttface wagged his tail smugly. "Tsk. I know you are jealous of my perfect shell. So what if I become a dog? You have a dog name but you have become a ball." Bah. Xiaomo was so angry that he fainted. Buttface stared at him and muttered to himself, "This old Fupi's ability to resist pressure is too weak. He is even weaker than the red shadow rabbit." "Qiying, I don't want to talk. I just want to pretend to be a mushroom quietly." Yun Chujio had looted a pile of thunderstruck stones. She was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. This time she didn't come to the Thunder Valley for nothing. At least for the time being, she didn't have to worry about cultivating resources. She looked at the demon beasts with satisfaction. "You guys are pretty good. With you guys guarding the Thunder Valley for me, I'm relieved." The demonic beasts. What did she mean? What did she mean by guarding the Thunder Valley for her? Since when did the Thunder Valley become hers? Was she shameless? Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows. "What? Are you not convinced? Who wants to fight with me?" The demonic beasts shook their heads like rattledrums, but they didn't want to run away. "Since the Thunder Valley is mine, we can't let others take advantage of us in the future. If any more cultivators come over to pick up the Thunderstones, don't be stupid and fight with them. You must follow the principle of the enemy advancing while I retreat, the enemy invading while I disturb, the enemy tired while I fight, the enemy retreating while I chase. If you can run, then run. If you can cause trouble, then cause trouble. Drag them to death. This is your territory. You can't play them to death. Moreover, they can't stay here forever. If they can't get anything, then they will naturally retreat. Do you hear me?" The demon beasts looked at each other. This little girl was really mean. Not only was she mean to them, she was even mean to her own kind. However, they were so happy. The lightning stones were all theirs. Why should they let the humans take advantage of them? He Xingjiu said with a smile, "In the future, I will come here every once in a while to collect protection fees. Get ready or Pilo kill you all." The demonic beasts were almost angered to death. Collect protection fees? Why was her face so big? When did she protect them? With that so-called method? How could there be such a shameless person in this world? However, they did not dare to say anything. They could only curse silently in their hearts. After all, she still had that old devil in her hands. If she was not happy and let that old devil out, they would really have no way to survive. After Yun Chujio finished instructing the demonic beasts, she cancelled the temporary contract with the 6 demonic wolves. Only then did she swagger out of the thunderstone producing area and turned around to run toward the Cave of Death. In the evening, Yun Chujio met Sect Master Yuan and the others who had been rescued. Yun Chujio immediately revealed an ecstatic expression. She wiped her tears and said, "Sect Master, it's great that you're all right. I originally wanted to come over and help you, but I met a demonic wolf on the way. It wasn't easy for me to save my life. Yun Chujia's clothes were covered in blood, and no one doubted her at all. Sect Master Yuan was touched and nodded. It's good that you have such intentions. We're all fine. Yun Chujio nodded vigorously and asked curiously, Sect Master, were you the one who saved Vice Director Xiaofu and the others? Sect Master Yuan shook his head with a bitter smile. I was also trapped in the death cave after I entered. It was Sect Master who from the upper house's spiritual power branch who brought people to save us. Yun Chujio immediately looked at the Sect Master who that Sect Master Yuan had mentioned. She eagerly approached him and said, Sect Master who, it's a good thing that you brought people here in time. Otherwise, Sect Master Yuan and the others wouldn't have been able to survive. If I were to look for him, I definitely wouldn't have been able to survive. You're my savior. Please accept my bow. Chapter 5704 Chancellor who was stunned by He Xinjiu. He came back to his senses and said with a smile, Get up. It's rare for you to have the heart to save someone. But don't be so reckless next time. Yun Chujio nodded obediently. You're right. I was also worried about the safety of the department head, so I acted rashly. Speaking of which, everyone is fine this time. We should also thank Vice Director Xiaofu. If it weren't for him insisting that we go to the branch road to pick up the thunderstones, we might not even have sent a message. The consequences are simply unimaginable. That's why you should praise Director Xiaofu properly. He really has foresight. Director Xiephus' nose almost went crooked from anger. Was this a praise for him? This was an accusation. This damn brat. That Xiao Lianping was also a good for nothing. Why didn't he kill her and let her run around here? He Xinjiu was secretly pleased when she saw Director Xiephus' twisted face. She was in the death cave and wanted to kill him along the way. However, she thought that Director Xiephus' status was not ordinary. If there was a spiritual weapon on him that could transmit the scene before his death, it would not be good. Moreover, it might not be a big deal if a student died. However, if Director Xiaofu died, the 10 Directions Academy might send people to investigate thoroughly. It would be bad if they found some clues. After weighing the pros and cons, Director Xiaofu had to give up the idea of killing Director Xiaofu. Director who saw that Director Xiephus' face had turned into the color of a pig's liver and immediately understood. He said lightly, when we go back, the Academy will summarize this trial. There will be a conclusion after merits and demerits. He Xinjiu stopped when she saw the situation. She did not say anything more and retreated to the side of Sect Master Yuan. The guy was quiet for a while and then asked curiously, Sect Master, what's so scary in the death cave? A Sect Master who killed that thing? Sect Master Yuan did not hide it. He said with a puzzled face, Before I was trapped, I had a short period of lucidity. There should be a demon sealed in the cave. The seal on the cave top has been destroyed. The demon must have escaped from the Thunder Valley. However, I don't know why he didn't kill us. The demonic beasts that were trapped also disappeared. Perhaps something happened and there wasn't enough time, so the demon left in a hurry. As for the demonic beasts, they might have died. Yun Chujia's eyes widened. There's actually a demon trapped inside? Oh my god. It's too scary. The devilish chi inside the spirit beast pouch was gnashing its teeth. Scary? Fuck, if you're really afraid and have the ability, don't put me into the spirit beast pouch. Sect Master. Originally, these secret realms that seal the demon race should be underground, but now that they've suddenly appeared, I'm afraid a storm is coming. And that demon that escaped will definitely stir up trouble. The Divine Enlightenment continent will not be peaceful anymore. Yun Chujio echoed a few words and secretly laughed in her heart. Stir up trouble? After the crowd met up with the students of the lower house, they returned to the 10 Directions Academy. This matter had stirred up a storm in the 10 Directions Academy and even the Divine Enlightenment continent. However, this had nothing to do with He Xinjiu. After all, she was only a listening student of the lower house. Shi Chong had absorbed a lot of the power of thunder and lightning underground in the Thunder Valley, and the power of thunder and lightning in his body had accumulated to the point of a breakthrough. He only needed to use a few more thunderstones to break through. However, Shi Chong was stingy. He felt that thunderstones were hard to come by, and it hurt him to use them just like that. Therefore, he decided to wait a little longer. If he couldn't wait for the heavenly thunder, he would use the thunderstones to break through. Chapter 5705. Release your claws. He Xinjiu had temporarily settled the matter of her cultivation. She was filled with warmth and was thinking about that. This fellow was beginning to miss her pretty boy. Unfortunately, she could not leave the lower house's waterside pavilion as she wished. D. Biming could not leave the upper house's waterside pavilion as he wished. It was even more difficult to meet him. She could not always use the excuse of lecturing. Moreover, President he could not lie for her anymore. The guy was in a state of sadness. He could only send a few voice transmission notes to tease a certain honored guest for fun. Big Brother Bayu, I came back from the Valley of Thunder with a slim chance of survival. Did you miss me? Big Brother Bayu, during the time that I was away, did any coquettish bitches provoke you? Big Brother Bayu, the days when I was separated from you were so hard that I almost forgot how you looked when I thought about you. Every reply from a certain someone was very simple. It was nothing more than, yes, got it, is that so? And so on. Hei Shinjio was not angered to death. Although she was afraid of being monitored, couldn't she say something nice? What a coquettish person. Yun Chujio cupped her chin and pondered. It would be great if she could enter the upper house directly during the year-end assessment. That way she could be intimate with the gigolo. Thinking of this fellow asked Ding Wenru, what are the conditions for entering the upper house directly during the year-end assessment? Ding Wenru looked at her as if she was looking at a lunatic. As far as I know, this is impossible. Only after entering the middle house and obtaining a certain rank in the middle house's year-end assessment can one enter the upper house. Yun Chujio said indifferently, there's nothing impossible. My brother Bayu even entered the upper house directly when he entered the school. Why can't I enter the upper house during the year-end assessment? Ding Wenru said speechlessly, Qingqing, I think that instead of thinking about this problem, why don't you think about how to deal with Lecturer Ouyang's inspection tomorrow? Yun Chujio immediately sighed. She found many excuses to explain about the red claws. It seemed that Lecturer Ouyang's patience had run out. The last class gave her a final deadline. If she couldn't release the entire Spirit Energy Beast during tomorrow's Spirit Energy class, she would be disqualified from the year-end assessment. She could ask Sect Master Zhen for leniency, but he might take advantage of the fact that she had extorted 2 jade talisman seals from him. He really couldn't bear to do so. She didn't know what was wrong with those damn claws. Even if she couldn't reveal her true form, she could at least move a little. It was as if she was dead every time. No wonder Lecturer Ouyang was angry. At this moment this fellow missed De Hua very much. Although De Hua was a pig, he was still an entire spirit beast. No matter what, it was still better than a dead claw. This fellow tried to release the red claw again, but there was still no progress. This fellow simply gave up. It seemed that he would have to return the warm jade talisman to Sect Master Zhen before he could even hold it. What a tragedy. The next day in the Spirit Energy class. Yan Qingqing, come to the front and release your Spirit Energy Beast, Lecturer Ouyang said with a solemn expression. Previously, this Yan Qingqing had used the excuse of being frightened as an excuse to delay. Now that so much time had passed, she could only release one claw. And it was the kind of dead claw that didn't move at all. This was really outrageous. Hei Shinjio took small steps and slowly moved towards the podium. This fellow was eager to strike the lecture hall with heavenly lightning, so that she did not have to release her claw. However, this fellow repeated it in his heart 100 times, but he did not receive a single heavenly lightning, so he could only brace himself and release his claw. Chapter 5706 A claw that could conquer the world. The familiar red claw appeared in front of everyone once again. The reason why everyone was familiar with it was because recently, Lecturer Ouyang had called Yun Chujio to the podium from time to time to release the spirit beast. Looking at the motionless dead claw, Hei Shinjio said embarrassedly, Lecturing, I may have been frightened again in the Thunder Valley, so... Enough. Yan Qingqing, I have given you too many chances, and I don't want to listen to you talk about this anymore. The other students were all trying their best to materialize the spiritual beast, but you couldn't even release a complete spiritual beast. Don't you feel ashamed? Lecturer Ouyang said sternly. Hearing Lecturer Ouyang's words, Hei Xinjia's heart moved. This guy pursed his lips. Lecturer Ouyang, I am so ashamed that I wish I could find a hole to crawl into. But I have really done my best. I don't know where the problem is, why can I only release a dead claw? But I have also improved. In the beginning, this claw only had one toe showing signs of materializing. Look, now there are already 2 toes materializing. Looking at it this way, I am still stronger than the others. Lecturer Ouyang choked at first and then slammed the table. You're still trying to argue with me? Even if this claw has materialized, how can one of your claws compare to a complete spiritual beast in a duel? Besides, your claw is still dead. Hei Shinjio blinked her eyes. Maybe if I materialize the whole claw, it will be able to move. Moreover, it has an advantage. Other people's spiritual beasts can only attack with their claws and bite, which will waste a lot of spiritual energy. However, my precious claws don't waste any spiritual energy. Moreover, when it attacks, no one can predict how it will attack or which part of its body it will attack. It will definitely be able to win by surprise. All in all, this claw is a good claw. In the future, I will rely on one claw to conquer the world. My reputation will spread everywhere. Lecturer Ouyang was so angry that he was about to puke. This Yan Qingqing was really sharp-tongued. Even a dead person could be talked alive by her. It was clearly a useless dead claw, but in her mouth, it had become invincible. Lecturer Ouyang slammed the table again. Shut up. Alright, since you have said so much, I will give you a chance. If you can make this claw move now, I will give you another month's time. If you can't, you don't have to participate in the year-end exam. When the time comes, you can just drop out of school. Hei Xinjiu complained in her heart. This dead claw didn't listen to her at all. This chance was no different from not giving it to her. However, this fellow also knew that this was the greatest preferential treatment given to her by the obstinate lecturer Ouyang. This fellow could only nod and say, "Alright, I'll move it now. Actually, it's not dead. It's just a little lazy. Everyone, please start your performance." Hei Xinjiu shouted at the red claw, "Move." There was no response. Hei Xinjiu gritted her teeth and put her palms together, bowing to the red claw. "Please, can you move a little? I'm begging you." There was no response. Everyone booed. It was just a dead claw. Hei Xinjiu was furious. Who did she offend to summon such a thing? This guy was furious. He pointed at the red claw and cursed, "You idiot! Did I give you some face? If you play dead, I'll never let you out again." The red claw still did not move. Chapter 5707 had been hit by a claw. You still dare to show your face? Do you think I can't cure one of your claws? If you don't move a bit today, Hei Xinjiu eyed for a long time because she found that she had no way to deal with the red claw. This thing was a spiritual beast. It didn't matter even if it dissipated. Even if I can't do anything to you, I'll scold you 8 times a day. You idiot. You trash. You dead claw. Lecturer Ouyang couldn't take it anymore. Enough. You. Hei Xinjiu glared at Lecturer Ouyang and roared, "Shut up. Let me finish scolding you." Lecturer Ouyang was dumbfounded by the roar. He didn't react for a moment and stood rooted to the ground. Hei Xinjiu had also finished shouting at Lecturer Ouyang. She finally realized what stupid thing she had done. But since she had already shouted, she could only brace herself and continue to curse the red claw. "You damned claw. You can't even move. What use do I have for you? You're not even as good as a pig's trotter. At least you can let me take a few bites. You damned claw, you shameless one is red if you have the ability to turn into all colors. What's the point of having a dead claw like you? Just disperse yourself. You don't want to taint other people's eyes. You damned claw, you deserve to be a single claw." Hei Xinjiu was cursing until she was foaming at the mouth. The red claw was still perfectly fine, floating there without the slightest change, let alone moving. Hei Xinjiu wanted to cry, but she had no tears. This fellow said to Lecturer Ouyang in a tearful voice, "Lecturer Ouyang, you are right. This broken claw is useless. I am a waste." Sob sob. Lecturer Ouyang's face was livid. "Since your claw did not move, your year-end assessment qualification was?" Lecturer Ouyang's words stopped abruptly because the red claw floated in front of the crying Hei Xinjiu and crashed into her. Hei Xinjiu was crying vigorously, but she didn't expect the red claw to suddenly crash into her, causing her to be hit in the butt. While she was still in a daze, the red claw began to tremble, and one of its solid toes even provocatively hooked towards Yun Chujiu. Hei Xinjiu. Everyone. Hei Xinjiu was shocked and furious. This damn claw actually dared to hit her. How dare it provoke her? Did it want to die? Hei Xinjiu jumped up and slapped the red claw. Unexpectedly, the red claw changed its usual silly look and nimbly dodged Yun Chujiu's attack before flying out of the hall. Hei Xinjiu gnashed her teeth in anger and chased after it. "You damn claw. Stop right there." Lecturer Ouyang. Everyone. Besides, wasn't that red claw a dead one? How could it be alive? And it even dared to beat up its master and even provoked him? This was simply a legend in the... Lecturer Ouyang was both angry and shocked. He immediately took a step forward and chased after them. When the students saw that the lecturer had chased after them, they were naturally happy to watch the show. They quickly left the hall of teachings. At this moment, Yun Chujiu had already chased after the red claw for a long distance. Every time Yun Chujiu was about to catch up, the red claw would suddenly increase its speed. Hei Xinjiu was so angry that she cursed, "Damn claw! Stop right there. Do you want to die?" Thus, the people of the lower house saw this strange scene. A little girl was chasing after a red claw and running around the lower house. Behind her was lecturer Ouyang and a group of fire element students. Chapter 5708 You are de Hua? The chase ended with the exhaustion of the red claw's spiritual energy. Hei Xinjiu was so tired that she was gasping for breath. Of course she was more angry. Was there anyone in this world who had a harder life than her? Gowei Batsao would occupy the magpie's nest from time to time, and de Hua would mysteriously disappear. Now that a red claw was released, it actually dared to play with her. It was really infuriating. This fellow turned his head and saw lecturer Ouyang following closely behind. His heart moved. Although it was very infuriating that the red claw had caused such a scene, but it had moved. Hence this fellow laughed dryly. "Lecturer Ouyang, look at the red claw that I released. It's alive and very lively." Lecturer Ouyang. Yes, it was lively. To go against his master, it was too lively. Lecturer Ouyang, you said that you would give me another month as long as the claws moved. Now that the claws are so lively, do you want to give me more time? I don't need too much time. What do you think about 3 years? How about 2 years? 1 month. If you still can't release the complete spiritual beast, humph. Lecturer Ouyang flicked his sleeves and left. Although Hei Xinjiu was a little disappointed, she still managed to buy another month's time. This guy ignored the other people's gazes and hurried back to his own courtyard. After this guy returned to his courtyard, he once again released his red claws. However, this time, the red claws returned to their previous dead appearance and did not move at all. Hei Xinjiu rubbed her chin and pondered. Could it be that this thing deserved to be scolded? However, she had scolded it many times before and did not see any reaction from it. Why did it have a reaction today? This guy recalled the words that he had scolded the red claw, and his eyes suddenly widened. He pointed at the red claw and cursed, "You are a 10,000-year-old single claw." The red claw trembled and crashed towards Hei Xinjiu. This time Hei Xinjiu did not let it succeed. She used her spiritual energy barrier to protect herself and said excitedly, "You are de Hua? You are de Hua, that 10,000-year-old single pig?" Hearing that, the red claws hit Yun Chujia's spiritual energy shield even more fiercely, looking exasperated. Hei Xinjiu was stunned at first, then she burst into laughter. "So it's really you, de Hua? Tiske, I say, de Hua, at least you had a pig body before, why are you only left with 1 claw now? You're really getting worse and worse. Tiske, you even changed the color. Could it be that you want to use red to rush your joy and prepare to break the curse of your 10,000-year-old singleness?" The red claw was obviously very angry, shaking like a fallen leaf in the wind. It hit Yun Chujia's spiritual energy shield with even more force, but it was unable to break through Yun Chujia's spiritual energy shield, so it simply stopped moving as if it was all an illusion of Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu curled her lips. "You want to take Chao away from me? No matter if you're a 10,000-year-old single pig or a 10,000-year-old single claw, you can't escape from my grasp. If you want to cultivate into a physical body as soon as possible, you'd better be sensible. If I tell you to go east, you'll go east. If I tell you to go west, you'll go west. Otherwise, you'll be a claw for the rest of your life." It was unknown whether the red claw was stimulated by Hei Xinjiu or not, but it directly crashed into a big rock in the yard. Boom. The big rock instantly turned into powder, and the red claw also dissipated. Yun Chujiu snorted coldly. She had quite a temper. There was still time in the future, there were plenty of opportunities to deal with it. However, how did de Hua turn into a claw? Chapter 5709 Shaimo's mission. While Hei Xinjiu was pondering, Ding Wenru and the other two hurried back. They had come back a long time ago, but today it was their turn to clean up the Hall of Magic. After cleaning up, they hurried back. As soon as the three entered the courtyard, they saw the ground full of dust. Then they saw that the big rock in the corner of the courtyard was no longer there. They could not help but look dumbfounded. Qin Linglong looked at Hei Xinjiu speechlessly. "Qingqing, your anger is a little too much. Why did you smash that rock so easily?" "I didn't do it. It was the damn claw that did it," Yun Chujiu said innocently. Qin Linglong and the other two were speechless. Pervert was indeed a pervert. Even her spiritual beast was a weirdo. It used to be as if it was dead without moving. Now, not only did it bump into its owner, but it also destroyed public property. Ding Wenru shivered. "Qingqing, what's with that claw of yours? It won't kill its master in the future, right? I think you'd better not release it in the future. Otherwise, if it dares to bump into you today, it might kill you one day." Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujio originally wanted to use her claws to ask about De Hua. Now that Ding Wenru and the other two had returned, she couldn't ask any more. However, this fellow couldn't stay idle. Thinking of the Sha Mo in her spirit beast pouch, she used her spiritual sense to ask, "Hey, are you used to living in the spirit beast pouch? Look at how kind I am. I'm afraid that you'll be lonely and cold, so I'll let my silly cuties accompany you." Sha Mo, who was beaten up 8 times a day. Stinky girl. A gentleman can be killed but not humiliated. If you have the ability, kill me. Sha Mo cursed through gritted teeth. He wanted to self-detonate, but inside the spirit beast pouch, he had turned into his current ghastly appearance. He simply did not have the ability to self-detonate. Moreover, he had to be beaten up by those beasts every day. It was simply a life worse than death. If he could turn back time, he would have strangled this wretched girl to death at that time. Yi Shai Mo Yi was also an overlord of a region, but now he had fallen to such a state. It was simply a life worse than death. Yun Chujio laughed lightly. You want to die? That's not difficult. You answer a few questions for me. If your attitude is correct, I will let you out and give you the freedom to die. How about it? Is what you said true? Shai Mo asked with doubt. Of course it's true. You're a demon. Even if I put you in a spirit beast pouch, it's still a hidden danger. If someone finds out, I won't have a way to live. So, after thinking about it, I think it's better to kill you. Yun Chujio said somewhat helplessly. Shai Mo felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense. Moreover, he really couldn't stand this inhuman torture anymore. He immediately said, "Okay, you ask? You said that you would return to the demon continent after completing the mission. What mission do you want to complete?" Yun Chujio asked. Shai Mo hesitated for a moment and said, "It's nothing. I just want to gather the people who were reborn or survived and return to the demon continent together." Yun Chujio snorted coldly, "Old fool, do you think PM is stupid as you? If you don't tell the truth, I can only let Buttface and the others wake you up." Buttface immediately said eagerly, "That's right. As long as the little fairy gives the order, he'll let you know what it means to be possessed." Shai Mo was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but he was helpless. Finally, he squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth. "I want to find someone." Yun Chujio immediately became spirited. "Who is it?" Chapter 57:10. You are a man of your word anyway. PM looking for someone. As for who it is, it has nothing to do with you. I won't tell you. No matter how much you threaten me, I won't tell you. Shai Mo snorted coldly. Buttface immediately said, "You old fool, are you itching for a beating again? Are you looking for a beating?" Yun Chujio stopped Buttface. If she pushed him too hard, it might backfire. "Alright, since you insist on not saying it, I won't continue asking this question. You said that you would return to the demon race continent after completing the mission. Could it be that the God Enlightenment continent is connected to the demon race continent through a tunnel?" Shai Mo didn't have any objection to this question. Although the tunnels between the human race continent and the demon race continent were completely destroyed, some of them weren't completely destroyed. As long as they were slightly repaired, they could be used. "Little girl, since you can swap with my master and servant, it means that you are not a human. If that's the case, why do you have to make things difficult? He'll tell you the truth. Since the god race has been destroyed, the demon race has become the most noble race in the world. Sooner or later, the demon race will unify all the continents. If you let me go now and break the contract with my demon god, I will let bygones be bygones for everything you have done. After all, you have also saved me. What do you think?" Yun Chujio did not say a word. After a while she said, "What you said makes sense. But I cannot save you for nothing, right? But you are now a poor man. You have nothing good to thank me with, so it's better to forget about it." Hearing that, Shai Mo immediately said, "Although they took all my things when they imprisoned me, I have collected a lot of lightning strike stones over the years. Even though I used a lot of them to abduct demon beasts, I still have some. I'll give you these lightning strike stones. Can you let me go?" "Lightning strike stones? I'm not particularly interested in them, but I don't think you have any other good things. How many do you have?" Yun Chujio said disinterestedly. "I have about 40,000 to 50,000. Don't worry. As long as you let me go, I'll find other treasures to repay you." Shai Mo sneered in his heart. No matter what, he had to obtain freedom first before he could kill this little girl. 40,000 to 50,000? That's indeed not much. Forget it. I'll treat it as a good relationship. If your demon race conquers the divine enlightenment continent, I can still survive. Yun Chujio sighed. Shai Mo was overjoyed. If that's the case, Let me go and break the demon god's contract with me? Okay. Tell me the method to break the demon god's contract first. I'll think of it. Xiaomo did not suspect him and immediately told Yun Chujio the method to break the demon god's contract. Yun Chujio really found an excuse to send Ding Wenru and the other two out of the dormitory. Yun Chujio then let Xiaomo out and said, money in one hand and goods in the other. Give me the lightning strike stone, and Pilo break the demon god's contract immediately. Xiaomo thought that he would be free soon, so he did not care much and immediately gave Yun Chujio a pile of lightning strike stones. After that, there was no after. Xiaomo, who had been put back into his spiritual beast pouch, said anxiously, hey, why did you take me back? You haven't broken the demonic god's contract. Yun Chujio said with a smile, old fool, why don't you learn your lesson? Break the demonic god's contract? Do you want to kill me after breaking it? You idiot. Xiaomo was so angry that he almost died. Stupid girl. You broke your promise. You're shameless. You're heartless. You're courting death. Xiaomo was so angry that he couldn't even speak properly. The person chapter 5711 was looking for was Yun Chujio's smile became even brighter. Old fool, this is not my fault. It's your fault for not telling me who the person you are looking for is. How about this, you tell me who the person you are looking for is, and I will break the demonic god's contract with you. If Xiaomo believed her, then it would be a ghost. Xiaomo said exasperatedly, damn girl, good, very good. This is the first time that I, Xiaomo Yi, have been bullied to this extent. Don't fall into my hands, or I will make you wish you were dead. As soon as he said that, he felt a sharp pain in his spiritual sense, which made him writhe in pain. Old fool, don't forget that you are my servant now. If you make me unhappy again, I will make you a real fool. Xiaomo was full of hatred and regret, but he could do nothing about it. He felt even more hopeless than when he was trapped in the universe arcane realm. Old fool, why don't you tell me who you're looking for and PLL help you look for him? Hey, Shinjio said with a smile like a wolf with a big tail. Xiaomo gnashed his teeth and said, the person PM looking for is you. I'll skin you and shave your bones. You bunch of animals. I won't forgive you. Yun Chujio looked at Xiaomo, who had been beaten up by Buttface and the others. She pursed her lips and cut off the connection with Xiaomo's spiritual sense. She happily counted the lightning strike stones that had just entered her account. TSK, she was rich. During the previous experiential learning, everyone had only found more than 30,000 lightning strike stones. She did not expect to get so many lightning strike stones from Xiaomo all of a sudden. However, when this fellow thought about the 3 foodies in his dantian and the fact that he still had to raise Xiao Hanyo and Xiao Mogu, he suddenly felt that these lightning strike stones weren't enough to fill the gaps between his teeth. It would have been fine if he had been struck by lightning. Why was Wu Yun of the Divine Enlightenment continent so lazy? Didn't he know that she, a scourge that wasn't tolerated by the heavenly Tao, was here? Why didn't he come and strike her? Didn't he know that she had raised a demon? Why didn't he come and carry out the heavenly Tao? Just as this fellow was thinking, he felt the ground tremble. Although it wasn't too intense, he could clearly feel it. Heavens, could it be that the earth dragon had turned over? At the same time, the other 9 islands of the 10-sided waterside pavilion also felt the ground tremble. Upper House Waterside Pavilion, Back Mountain. It seems that the strange phenomenon last time has come true. Tao Tai's seal has indeed loosened. The tall old man sighed. Logically speaking, if the strange phenomenon last time came true, why did Tao Tai not have any strange movement last time? Why did it suddenly go crazy now? Could it be that it was stimulated by something? The slightly shorter old man said in puzzlement. It was sealed at the bottom of the lake, so what kind of stimulation could it have? I guess the extent of the loosening of the seal last time was relatively small, so it didn't have any reaction. Although Tao Tai is terrifying, what's even more terrifying is the disaster predicted in the prophecy. What kind of terrifying disaster could make all things in the world disappear? There are demons appearing in the Thunder Valley, and now Tao Tai is making strange movements. I'm afraid the disaster is really not far away. The tall old man had a worried expression. You don't have to be so worried. Don't you have the last 4 sentences? Since Tao Tai's seal has been loosened, the last 4 sentences will come true. Someone will come out of nowhere to resolve this disaster. The short old man was obviously more optimistic. I hope so. I don't know what kind of otherworldly expert this savior is and where he is now. The tall old man sighed. Chapter 57:12. The miserable Tao Wu room in the distance, several bolts of lightning struck towards the misty lake. The two elders did not show any surprise. It was normal for the heavenly lightning to strike when Tao Tai was acting strangely. The heavenly lightning did not really want to strike Tao Tai. It was just a deterrent effect to prevent Tao Tai from breaking the seal and coming out. At the same time, He Xinjiu on the other side was overjoyed. This fellow was originally worried about whether the earth dragon would turn over, but he saw the gathering of dark clouds in the distance, as if there was going to be a heavenly lightning strike. This fellow was about to burst into laughter. My little darling, she really could not help but mutter. She had just muttered a few words and this Wu Yun came to strike her. It was really just in time. This fellow stretched her neck and waited happily for the lightning to strike her. The heavenly lightning came, but it struck in the direction of the misty lake instead of striking her. This fellow was instantly dumbfounded. It didn't make sense. Was this Wu Yun blind? She was a living person here, why did she go to the misty lake to be struck? She wanted to run to the misty lake to be struck, but by the time she ran over, the daylily was already cold. Moreover, she could not enter or leave the lower house as she pleased, and she could not leave either. What should she do? She could only watch helplessly as the heavenly lightning failed to strike her. This was simply too damn depressing. This fellow rolled his eyes, pointed at the sky and cursed, "God damn it. You turtle bastard. If you have the ability, come and strike me." Tian Dao, didn't you want to kill me? Come on. PM right here, come and strike me. What? Are you afraid of me? Did you accept your fate because you found out that you can't kill me? This guy cursed for a long time, but he still couldn't summon Wu Yun over. He was anxious. At this moment, Buttface said from the spirit beast bag, "Little fairy, try releasing Tao Wu. It will definitely be struck by lightning once it appears." Yun Chujio thought that this was a solution. Although releasing Tao Wu might consume some of its soul power, she had raised it for so long so it wouldn't be too much to let it contribute to her. Moreover, it had been a long time since she released Tao Wu, so she did not know how its cultivation was going. Yun Chujio immediately ran into the house and took out the ancient jade bottle containing the remnant soul of Tao Wu. She opened the cork and released Tao Wu. Tao Wu said in a muffled voice, "I have not cultivated to a physical body yet, why did you let me out? If it was not in a special environment, I would have consumed a lot of soul power once I came out." Yun Chujio giggled. Lightning strike. Tao, doesn't your conscience hurt when you do this? He Xinjiu did not pay attention to Tao Wu, who looked miserable. This guy jumped into the yard and stretched his neck to look at the sky. Seeing that Wu Yun was really floating over, this guy laughed so hard that he could not close his mouth. Today was really a good day. As for how to deal with the aftermath of being struck by lightning, he had already put it to the back of his mind. Nothing was more important than being struck by lightning. Wu Yun, who was flying towards him, was actually a little conflicted. He originally wanted to suppress Tao Tai, but he actually discovered the remnant soul aura of an ancient fierce beast here. Since he had discovered it, he naturally could not sit idly by. He was a good and conscientious Wu Yun. Wu Yun soon floated above Yun Chujia's courtyard. Of course, its area was very big, so it couldn't only cover Yun Chujia's courtyard. The nearby courtyards were all covered by it. It was daytime now, so many people were not in the dormitory. Even if there were a few people, they were scared and ran out of the courtyard when they saw the dark clouds. Chapter 57:13 was too scary. He Xinjiu had already put Tao Wu back into the ancient jade bottle. He looked at Wu Yun in the sky with a smile and hooked his little finger. "Little fool, come and strike me." Where was Tao Wu? Why was there such a stupid girl who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth? Heavenly thunder spiritual root? Humph, she was really courting death. Initially, she didn't realize that there was another heavenly lightning spirit root here. Since she was courting death, then let her have it. Wu Yun fiercely struck a bolt of heavenly lightning at Yun Chujio and sneered in his heart. This bolt of heavenly lightning would be able to strike this weak chick until she was half dead. Let's see how she can continue to show off. An hour later, Wu Yun flew away in exasperation. Fuck pervert. This wretched girl was actually a pervert. No wonder Tian Dao did not send them over to strike her. This pervert could not be killed at all. He Xinjiu looked at Wu Yun, who was far away, and pursed her lips. This Wu Yun did not carry much lightning power. Her hair was not even burnt by the strike. What a waste. There were too many people and too many eyes. It was really not easy to strike her. Otherwise she would just hook a cloud wing and play with it. However, the most important thing now was that she had to think of an excuse to cover up the matter in front of her. It was better not to expose her identity. A moment later, President He and the others rushed over. When they saw the large and small deep holes in the courtyard, they were all shocked. The 10 Directions Academy was rarely struck by lightning, not to mention this kind of long-term heavenly lightning. Why would the heavenly lightning strike here? At this moment, a scream came from inside the house. Help! 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 Everyone's expression changed and they rushed into the house immediately. They saw a little girl shivering in the corner, constantly shouting for help. If it wasn't Yan Qingqing, then who was it? Ding Wenru, who had squeezed in with the crowd, immediately rushed over. Qingqing, what happened to you? Are you okay? Yun Chujio opened her eyes with a face full of fear. Heavenly lightning. Too scary. Save me. Ding Wenru's mouth twitched in her heart. Just keep pretending. However, she comforted her with her mouth. Qingqing, it's all right. The heavenly lightning has stopped. Look, President He and the department head are here. You'll be fine. Yun Chujio looked around in a daze and immediately sobbed. It's too scary. The heavenly lightning is too scary. It scared me to death. Yan Qingqing, what's going on? President He asked with a sullen face. President, didn't I chase after my spiritual? So when I returned to the dormitory, I was a little tired and fell asleep in a daze. Then I heard a loud sound. I leaned against the crack of the door and saw that the heavenly lightning that was as thick as a bucket had struck the courtyard. Woo, it almost scared me to death. I wanted to run, but I was afraid of being accidentally injured by the heavenly lightning, so I hid in the house. I thought that it would be over after a few strikes, but who would have thought that the heavenly lightning would keep striking? It was too scary. Woo, it scared me to death. Dean, I want to change my dormitory. I don't want to live here. There must be something under the ground that can be struck by lightning. Woo, it's too scary. Hei Shinjio sobbed as she spoke while trembling. The speaker, unintentional, seemed to be interested. President He and the others immediately looked at each other. Could it be that there really was something strange under the courtyard? President He pondered for a moment. Sect Master Zhen, ask the students nearby to move to other dormitories and seal this place completely. Sect Master Zhen's expression was solemn. He knew that this was an extraordinary matter, so he naturally wouldn't neglect it and immediately made arrangements. Chapter 57 14 Good Cabbages. Hei Shinjio, who had been scared quite a bit, said in a tearful voice, Sect Master, you must arrange my dormitory to be further away from here. PM already traumatized. Too scary. No one was suspicious of her reaction. Even a student with a Thunder Spirit root would be frightened by such a rare long-term lightning bolt, not to mention that she only had a Fire Spirit root and her cultivation was still low. Soon, Sect Master Zhen arranged a new dormitory for Yun Chujio and the others. Ding Wenru looked at Hei Shinjio, who was crying so hard that her face was covered in flowers. She pouted and said, Alright, stop pretending. Hurry up and wash your face. Hei Shinjio pouted and said, I was really scared. It was too scary. I was scared to death. Ding Wenru and the other two twitched their lips. They would never believe you. The reason why they were sent out on purpose was probably to get struck by lightning. On the other side, under the misdirection of Hei Shinjio, President He and the others dug several feet deep into the courtyard. They also found a lecturer who was proficient in array formations to investigate. After a few days of searching, they found nothing. This matter became an unsolved case. Hei Shinjio had been in high spirits recently. Her spiritual power level had already reached the 5th level of the Divine Revelation realm. Moreover, because she had extorted a lot of lightning stones, her daily cultivation was not a problem for the time being. It was simply wonderful. Of course, in the eyes of outsiders, she was just a piece of trash at the 9th level of the Spirit Extinguisher realm. That night, Hei Shinjio flirted with a certain venerable every day. Brother Bayu, I dreamed of you yesterday. You took off your clothes to seduce me. It's really indescribable. A moment later, the voice transmission talisman trembled, and a certain venerable's cold voice came from it. It was indeed a dream. Hei Shinjio. Do you know that you will lose your baby if you talk like this? This guy shamelessly flirted with her a few more times, and a certain one occasionally replied, but it was not more than 2 words. Humph. Brother Bayu, you are too stingy with your words. I won't talk to you anymore. Hei Shinjio said angrily. Usually, a certain one would not reply to her at this time, but this time, he replied for the first time, sad face, I will go out to complete the Academy's mission the day after tomorrow. Perhaps the voice transmission talisman will be ineffective. You don't have to send me a voice transmission talisman for the time being. Yun Chujio was stunned. This fellow immediately recalled the scene of Xiao Lianxiao giving Di Baiming the pills. At that time Xiao Lianxiao. Hey Xinjiu immediately asked sourly, going out on a mission? It can't be with that little bitch Xiao Lianxiao, right? Yes, there are others. It's not just me and her. A certain someone originally only wanted to reply with a yes, but after thinking for a while he still explained. Hey Xinjia's heart became even more sour when she heard that. Although there were others, Xiao Lianxiao clearly had bad intentions towards the gigolo. What if there was a tyrant, a king, a hard, a bow in the wilderness? Wouldn't the pretty boy, this good cabbage, be taken by a pig? This guy wanted to stop it, but since it was a mission arranged by the academy she couldn't stop it. This guy's good mood immediately fell to the bottom. If the pretty boy didn't change his identity she wouldn't be worried because the pretty boy wouldn't give those flirtatious bitches a chance. However, now that the pretty boy wanted to maintain the image of Beiyu, there were some things that couldn't be done too far. That Xiao Lianxiao would do anything and she might let her get her way. Hey Xinjiu did not sleep well that night either. She felt extremely uncomfortable. The cabbages were about to be eaten by pigs. How could she still sleep? Chapter 57:15 Idea. Hey Xinjiu thought about it, but she found that she was powerless. If the gigolo was in the lower house or if she was in the upper house she could think of a way to go with him. But now they were separated by two houses and there was a middle house in the middle so she couldn't interfere no matter what. Ding Wenru saw her drooping head and asked with concern, Qingqing, what's wrong? Sai, my cabbage is going to be eaten by a pig. I'm so worried. Hey Xinjiu sighed. Ding Wenru was dumbfounded. What the hell? What cabbage? What pig? Are you talking nonsense? Hey Xinjiu pouted and said, my brother Beiyu is going to follow that little bitch Xiao Lianxiao on a mission. Do you think I want worry? Ding Wenru was speechless. Isn't it normal to go out on a mission? Besides, Beiyu's estranged aura means that even if Xiao Lianxiao has evil intentions she won't succeed. What do you have to worry about? Hey Xinjiu shook her head. The last time she tried to burn me to death in the underground fire cellar for brother Beiyu, it means that she has gone mad with him. Who knows, she might do something shameless. My brother Beiyu is so simple-minded, I really can't put my heart at ease. Ding Wenru curled her lips. After saying so much she was just jealous. If Beiyu was so easily schemed against, would such a good cabbages be her turn? Of course she did not dare to say these words out loud so she just agreed perfunctorily. The worry on He Xinjia's face grew even more. Tell me, how can I stop? Ding Wenru replied. It would be great if they can't come out for the mission. However, we are only auditing students of the lower house so we can't control them. Upon hearing that, He Xinjiu rolled her eyes and had an idea. The guy immediately took out a basket of spiritual fruits and stuffed it into Ding Wenru's hands with a big smile. Sister Ding, you are really my lucky star. Ding Wenru. Did she say something amazing? This little devil's face would turn from glum to elated. Could she have gone mad? The next morning in the upper house. Xiao Lianxiao got up early and began to dress up. When she appeared in front of everyone, she immediately attracted the adoring gazes of several male students. Especially Ji Lingfeng, his eyes were filled with adoration. Junior sister Lianxiao, today I truly understand what it means to be a country-toppling beauty, and what it means to be peerlessly beautiful. Although Xiao Lianqiao's mind was on Beiyu, she still enjoyed the feeling of being praised by others. She said a few words modestly, but her face was filled with pride. At this moment she saw Beiyu walking over and immediately took 2 steps forward to greet him. Beiyu, you're here. Beiyu lightly acknowledged her, but his gaze did not fall on her at all. Xiao Lianxiao could not help but feel a little disappointed. She had already forgotten about the time when he had helped that bitch Yan Qingqing slap her, and he actually did not even look at her. But it did not matter. When they reached the mission location she would use a little trick to make him submit. If he took her innocence, even if he wanted to deny it, he would not be able to. As for that Yan Qingqing, she dared to snatch her man away from Xiao Lianxiao, only death awaited her. Ji Lingfeng saw that Xiao Lianqiao's gaze was glued to Beiyu, and his expression instantly turned ugly. He sneered, Beiyu, why are you so late? You really have no manners. Beiyu looked at him indifferently. The gathering time is the hour, PM, not late. Chapter 57:16 was definitely Xiao Jiao's doing. Ji Lingfeng choked and said exasperatedly, even though the departure time is 2 o'clock, Director Xiaofu has already arrived, yet you only just arrived. Do you still have reason? Without waiting for Beiyu to speak, Xiao Lianxiao glared at Ji Lingfeng. What's being late if it's not past the gathering time? Director Xiaofu didn't even say anything. What are you blabbering about? Ji Lingfeng was so angry that he almost vomited blood. What was so good about this Beiyu that Xiao Lianxiao would protect him like this? He was really hateful. Since he had blocked his path, then during this experiential learning he should send him on his way so that he wouldn't be an eyesore. At this moment, Director Xiaofu said indifferently, "Since everyone is here, let's set off." Because of the incident in Thunder Valley last time, because He Xinjiu had complained, Director Xiaofu was taken advantage of by Director Hu of the Spirit Energy Branch to reduce a few of his positions. He was rather angry. Because of the relationship between Beiyu and Yan Qingqing, Director Xiaofu did not like Beiyu. However, Xiao Lianxiao begged him, so he accepted the task of leading the team. Director Xiaofu led a group of people out of the upper academy. Before they reached the dock, they saw a huge wave in the distance, followed by an earth-shaking beast roar. Director Xiaofu turned pale with fright and shouted, "Not good. It's a beast tide. Quickly, you guys retreat back to the academy. Pilil arranged the defense." Xiao Lianxiao and the others' faces instantly turned pale. Didn't there just happen to be a beast tide a few days ago? Why was there another beast tide? Recently there was a beast tide and lightning strikes. What happened to the 10 Directions Academy? Bai Ye's expression was as indifferent as ever, but he was speechless in his heart. This must be little Jiu's doing. No wonder he kept asking him what time he was leaving today. It turned out that he had such an idea. But it was also good. He originally didn't want to carry out any mission. He immediately turned around and left without the slightest hesitation. Ji Lingfeng coldly snorted, "Did you see that? Beiyu, this coward, when he saw the beast tide, he only knew to take care of himself. He also didn't know to take care of the others. Junior sister Lianxiao, you don't have to be afraid. He'll protect you when you return to the upper house." Xiao Lianxiao ignored him. She took 2 steps forward and caught up with Beiyu. "Since there's no way for me to go out on a mission today, why don't you help me solve some of my cultivation problems?" Beiyu stopped in his tracks. His indifferent gaze finally landed on Xiao Lianxiao. Xiao Lianxiao's heart immediately rejoiced. It seemed that her meticulous dressing today was still effective. She said that regardless of family background or appearance, she was 100 times stronger than that Yan Qingqing. There was no reason for Beiyu to abandon her and choose that Yan Qingqing. Boom. Xiao Lianxiao was shocked. She looked up and saw that the few boulders that were scattered on the side had turned into dust. Beiyu said coldly, "I'm warning you for the last time. I already have someone I like. If you continue to pester me, those boulders will end up like you." After Beiyu finished speaking, he turned around and left. Xiao Lianxiao was embarrassed, angry and hateful. However, the person she hated was Yin Chujiu. It was all because of this bitch, Yan Qingqing. If she hadn't shamelessly bewitched Beiyu, why would Beiyu treat her like this? This bitch really deserved to die. He Xinjiu, who was hated to death by Xiao Lianxiao, was currently sending a voice transmission talisman to Beiyu in the Dharma Hall. Although the beast tide was coming with the experience from last time, after a moment of panic, lecturer Ouyang continued to teach everyone. "Brother Beiyu, I heard that there's a beast tide. Woo-woo, the roars of those sea beasts are too scary, my little heart almost jumped out of my chest. Oh right, there's a beast tide, are you guys unable to go out on missions as scheduled?" Chapter 57-17 No wife, no husband. Hearing the message of He Xinjiu in the voice transmission note, the corner of his eye twitched for a moment. "I'm afraid the last sentence is the key, right?" He smiled a little. "Well, the mission should be temporarily cancelled." On the other side, He Xinjiu laughed sinisterly and replied, "Brother Beiyu, don't be disappointed. It's good to cultivate in the academy." Just as she was feeling proud, lecturer Ouyang caught sight of her. Lecturer Ouyang saw the sinister smile on her face and immediately frowned. "Yan Qingqing, what are you laughing at? Do you think something is wrong with what I said? Don't you know the immensity of heaven and earth because you can move your claws? Come up and let your claws out." He Xinjiu. This fellow cursed silently in her heart. Can't she talk about her spiritual beast? Must she talk about her claws? She didn't have that kind of thing. Even though she cursed, this fellow still dawdled up to the podium and let out her red claws. Then He Xinjiu was stunned. Lecturer Ouyang and the others were also stunned. They saw that the red claws had actually materialized another toe. Wasn't the materialization speed too heaven-defying? Didn't it materialize 2 toes just a few days ago? In just a few short days it had materialized another toe? Just as everyone was astonished, the remaining 2 toes had also rapidly materialized. After a moment of dead silence, Hei Xinjiu said happily, "Lecturer Ouyang, how is it? I told you that my claw is extraordinary. The materialization speed can be said to be unprecedented, right? I believe that it won't be long before this claw of mine will become famous throughout the entire divine enlightenment continent and become a legend of a generation. I've decided to call it the invincible and heaven-defying big red claw from now on. What do you think?" Lecturer Ouyang took a deep breath. Although the combat power will be much stronger after materialization, it will also vary according to the beast. This is just a claw of yours. Even if it materializes completely, it won't have as much potential as other spirit beasts. Arrogance is the most taboo in the path of cultivation. Take care of yourself. Go down. Hei Xinjiu pursed her lips in her heart. Not have as much potential as other spirit beasts? She was a 10,000-year-old single pig. Although she did not know why she only had one claw now, it would definitely be awesome in the future. Just as this fellow was cursing in his heart, that red claw was charging towards her at lightning speed. Hei Xinjiu was hit by the claw and immediately became furious. She didn't scold it this time. Could it be that she couldn't do it even if she thought about it? You dumbass. You're a 10,000-year-old single claw. You're destined to be alone for Eve. You're a single dog. You deserve to be a bachelor for your whole life. You don't know how to show mercy to the fairer sex. The red claw was so angry that it was shivering. It crashed toward Yun Chujiu again. Hei Xinjiu immediately took out little slut number 1 and slashed at the red claw. You want to kill your master? Do you want to die? If I don't beat you to death today, my name will not be Yan Qingqing. Ding Wenru thought to herself, your name is not Yan Qingqing in the first place. Seeing that it could not take advantage of her, the red claw hooked its toes at Hei Xinjiu and ran out of the Hall of Dharma. Hei Xinjiu chased after her with the sword in her hand. You damned claw. Stop right there. I don't think you're the invincible, heaven-defying red claw at all. You're the lone claw of a man without a wife. The red claw suddenly stopped flying and turned around to crash into Hei Xinjiu. Hei Xinjiu quickly swung her sword to slash at it, but the red claw avoided it at a tricky angle. Chapter 57:18 Hair pulling after the red claw dodged Yun Chujia's sword, it pounced on Hei Xinjia's head. Then it began to pull Hei Xinjia's hair, pulling it down one by one. Hei Xinjiu was about to explode when she saw the falling hair. Do you want to die? You're a 10,000-year-old single claw. You can't find a wife and you want to make me bald. You're shameless. However, the red claw was lying on Hei Xinjia's head. Even if Hei Xinjiu wanted to attack it, it would not be easy. It might even injure itself. Lecturer Ouyang and the others were dumbfounded. Oh God! Were these two pets or enemies? Why was their hair pulled? The Goei Batsao and Hei Xinjia's Dantian shook its leaves. TSK, didn't it always talk about that stupid pig in the past? Great, now you know who is her little cutie, right? Although it would occasionally occupy the magpie's nest, at least it didn't know how to pull its hair. Compared to this stupid pig, it was simply an obedient baby. Hei Xinjiu was so angry that she was twitching. She had no choice but to ask Lecturer Ouyang for help. Lecturer Ouyang, don't just watch. Quickly get rid of this damn claw. Otherwise it'll become bald. Lecturer Ouyang was both angry and amused. He struck the red claw with his palm and only then did the red claw disappear. Hei Xinjiu looked at the hair on the ground in heartache, took out a mirror and looked at it. She gnashed her teeth and said, my peerless beauty has been ruined by that damn claw. The guy had wanted to say that it was the 10,000-year-old single claw, but he swallowed his words. A wise man would never be at a disadvantage in front of his eyes. That damn claw was a bit weird, so it was better not to provoke it for the time being. Didn't you say that your spiritual beast was invincible in the world? Why did it pull your hair? Lecturer Ouyang glared fiercely at Hei Xinjiu. A good spiritual beast tide did not ruin a good lesson, but it was ruined by this Yan Qingqing. Yun Chujiu said embarrassedly, Lecturer Ouyang, every powerful thing has a little temper. This claw of mine is no exception. I will think of a way to make it obedient. Lecturer Ouyang snorted coldly and punished Yun Chujiu to clean the Hall of Dharma for 3 days. Other than that, he did not say anything else. Because he also felt that this red claw seemed to be a little unusual. Putting aside the speed of materialization, just the flexibility of the fight with Yan Qingqing just now had surpassed many spirit beasts. Perhaps it was really not simple. Moreover, the beast tide had not completely subsided. He was also a little worried and wanted to leave the lower house to take a look. After the crowd dispersed, Ding Wenru and the other two accompanied Hei Xinjiu back to the training hall to clean up. Ding Wenru moved closer to He Xingjiu and asked softly, Qingqing, if I remember correctly, today is the day Beiyu and the others went on a mission, right? Now that there's a beast tide, they definitely won't be able to go. Even the heavens are helping you. He Xingjiu bared her little white teeth. That's right. Tian Dao likes me the most. I told him to head east, but he didn't dare head west. I told him to beat up dogs, but he didn't dare to chase chickens. Ding Wenru. She was talking about this guy who could shine under the sun. She didn't link the beast tide incident to He Xingjiu. After all, it was too unbelievable and was beyond her understanding. After He Xingjiu finished cleaning, she didn't return to the dormitory. Instead, she ran to the self-examination workshop. Her hair wasn't white. If she didn't let the Red Claws kneel down and kowtow to her today, her name wouldn't be Yan Qingqing. Chapter 57:19. You have to face reality. Ever since He Xingjiu became the leader of the Fire Elements law enforcement team, there were basically no more students who were punished to boil salt. The self-examination square had already become He Xingjiu's private venue. Everyone was furious but did not dare to voice their anger. This was because once someone raised an objection, He Xingjiu would find an excuse to punish them and come in to boil salt. Who would find trouble for themselves. Therefore no one mentioned this matter anymore. He Xingjiu entered the self-examination workshop, closed the door and went into the house that boiled salt. After closing the door, she took out the mirror and looked at it. She cursed in her heart. Fortunately, her hair was thicker. Otherwise, she would definitely be scratched until she was bald by De Hua's damn claws. Thinking of this, the guy suddenly became angry. He put up the spiritual energy barrier and released his red claws. The red claws trembled and hooked their toes at He Xingjiu, looking very smug. He Xingjiu narrowed her eyes and snorted, De Hua, well done. You are quite promising, aren't you? You dare to go against me, aren't you? You even dare to pull my hair. You really want to die, don't you? The red claw shook indifferently and snapped its fingers with 2 toes. Yin Shujiu was furious. This shameless single pig actually snapped his fingers? He really deserved a beating. The red claw may have sensed He Xingjiu's thoughts, and the word single pig angered it again. It immediately rushed towards He Xingjiu's spiritual energy shield. He Xingjiu came prepared this time. The red claw could not break the spiritual energy shield even after a few hits. He Xingjiu sneered, De Hua, no wonder you transformed into a pig before. You are really a pig brain. You are going against me. You don't want to think about it, do you? The red claw stopped moving as if waiting for He Xingjiu to continue. Although I don't know why you turned into a claw, it's obvious that you have to rely on me if you want to obtain all of your body. You also know that apart from you I have Gowei Batsao. Its combat ability is at least 100 times stronger than your current ghastly appearance. Moreover, it's obedient. I can totally not let you out. When the Gowei Batsao and her Dantian heard He Xingjiu's praise, it almost flew away. Did you see that? Did you see that? The road was far but the horsepower was far away. As time went by, she finally knew who her little cutie was. Yun Chujiu continued, if I don't let you out, let's not talk about whether you can condense a physical body or not. Even if you can, you will never see the lie. Moreover, was I wrong in scolding you? Aren't you the one who has been single for 10,000 years? Aren't you the one who has no wife? Man, no, beast, you have to face reality. You are single now and you don't have a wife. Don't you allow others to say that. You have to learn from other fierce beasts. Look at Buttface. The majestic fierce beast transformed into a puppy. Isn't he also carefree and happy? Look at Hun Dun. Isn't he happy wearing a green sweater all day? Your mental endurance is too weak. If you don't have a wife, just find a wife. Why are you in such a hurry with me? Am I the reason why you can't get a wife? When Yun Chujiu said this, she strangely felt a strong resentment coming from her spiritual sense. This fellow touched his nose guiltily. Could it really be related to her? Was it the sins of her previous life again? If you wanted to enter the upper house directly from the lower house, it was not impossible. Beiyu was an example. If you were able to obtain first place in the exam and obtain more than 1,000 points compared to the second place, you would be able to enter the upper house directly. I advise you to give up on this idea. Beiyu is extremely talented and cannot be compared to ordinary people. I heard that although Beiyu is a new student, his cultivation has improved very quickly. He has already crushed most of the students from the spiritual energy department. Yun Chujiu did not get angry when she heard this. Instead, she nodded with pride. That's true. Why don't you take a look at whose sweetheart he is? My Yan Qingcheng's sweetheart is naturally the most outstanding. President He had forgotten about this. Bai Yes Good Cabbage had been taken by this little girl. This little girl probably wanted to enter the upper academy because she wanted to be together with Beiyu. However, this was too unrealistic. It was simply wishful thinking. Chapter 57-21 Examination. President He, if I score 1,000 points higher than the second place, can I really enter the upper academy? Are you not lying to me? He Xingjiu blinked her eyes and asked. Of course it's true. This has always been the rule of the academy. However, before Beiyu almost no one could do it. After all, the students in the academy are all favored by the heavens. It's very difficult for there to be such a big difference. Yan Qingqing, although your talent is not good as long as you work hard, you should not be eliminated in this exam. Don't think about irrelevant things, understand? President He advised earnestly. He did not like Yun Chujio before, but after experiencing some things, especially when Sect Master Yuan told him about the heroic deeds of Yun Chujio who risked her own safety to save others in the Thunder Valley, his view of her had changed. Yun Chujio nodded obediently. President, I understand. I will definitely not let you down. I will amaze everyone during the big exam and become the second person to enter the upper house directly from the lower house. President He did not bother to waste his breath on her and directly chased her out of the study room. This little girl who did not know her limits would naturally know how powerful she was when the big exam came. Soon, the 10 Directions Academy ushered in the big exam that was held once every 6 months. The big exam of the 10 Directions Academy was not divided into grades. Instead, all the students participated in the exam together. Out of more than 10,000 students, only the top 1,000 were qualified to enter the middle school. In the big exam, the last 100 students would be expelled. Therefore, the big exam was an extremely important event for every student. The location of the big exam was set above the 1 Yuan Waterside Pavilion of the 10 Directions Academy. The 10 Directions Academy had 6 waterside pavilions specially used for the exam. They were the 1 Yuan Waterside Pavilion, the 2 Elements Waterside Pavilion, the 3 Talents Waterside Pavilion, the 4 Symbols Waterside Pavilion, the 5 Elements Waterside Pavilion, and the 6 Harmonies Waterside Pavilion. The 1 Yuan Waterside Pavilion was the least difficult waterside pavilion for the exam. The higher one went, the more difficult it would be. The rules of the exam were simple and crude. In the 1 Yuan Waterside Pavilion, there were all kinds of small flags representing points. The final result was calculated according to the small flag points each person received. In the assessment, the use of talismans, the prohibition of flying, and the prohibition of snatching were all prohibited. In fact, even snatching was useless because the small flags would only show the name of the first person to receive it. After President He explained the rules, he opened the assessment enchantment of the 1 Yuan Waterside Pavilion and teleported everyone inside. Before He Xingjiu entered, she was still proudly blinking her eyes at President He. President He glared at her and ignored her. He thought to himself, other students had basically made a breakthrough in the past 6 months, but this Yan Qingqing was still a good-for-nothing at the 9th level of Spirit Extinguisher realm. It was already a blessing that she was not ranked in the bottom 100 in this exam. She still had the wishful thinking to enter the upper house? Dream on. Everyone was transported to different locations. However, due to the large number of people participating in the exam, there were some students who were very close to each other. For example, Ding Wenru and Yun Chujio. Ding Wenru saw He Xingjiu who was not far away and was almost going crazy with joy. She had already summed up a famous saying. As long as she clung tightly to this fiend's thigh, anything was possible. The moment Ding Wenru thought that she might be able to enter the middle courtyard under He Xingjiu's light, she felt like she was floating. Immediately, she ran towards Yun Chujio's location. Qingqing, that's great. I'm actually so close to you. Looks like I can safely enter the central courtyard this time. When that time comes, we can be together again. Chapter 57-22 How could she live? Yun Chujio glanced at Ding Wenru. We can't be together anymore. Ding Wenru was stunned at first, then said anxiously, Qingqing, why do you say that? How did I offend you? Don't you want to protect me? Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth. I'm going to enter the upper house this time. You can only enter the middle house at most, so we can't be together anymore. Ding Wenru's eyes widened. You want to enter the upper house? Didn't you say that the top 1,000 in the lower house assessment can only enter the middle house? How are you going to enter the upper house? President, he told me that as long as I get first place and am 1,000 points higher than the second place, I can enter the upper house directly, Yun Chujio explained. Ding Wenru felt like she was struck by lightning when she heard that. If it wasn't for Qingqing, how could she live? If she didn't have Qingqing by her side, she would be courting death if she entered the central courtyard. She might as well stay in the lower house. However, she knew that there was nothing she could do about it. She couldn't let her lover not reunite with her, right? The more Ding Wenru thought about it, the less confident she was in the future. It was as if she could already see the abyss of suffering in the future. She didn't want to live anymore. Suddenly Ding Wenru's eyes lit up. Qingqing, am your biological sister, He Xinjiu. Ding Wenru said excitedly, didn't President he say that as long as you are first place, you can enter the upper house as long as you are 1,000 points higher than second place? Then we can tie for first place. This way we can enter the upper house together. Although I'm not very capable, I can still run errands for you and help you spread the word. If not, I can help you keep an eye on those coquettish bitches so that they won't covet your big brother Beiyu. Hey Xinjiu. Ding Wenru had never felt so smart before. She listed her strengths without stopping. In her opinion, it did not matter where she was as long as she hugged Qingqing's thigh tightly. A few years later, the high and mighty Ding Wenru said to her juniors with a profound expression, the most correct thing in my life is to cling onto the right thigh. Of course, this was all in the future. At this moment, she looked pitifully at He Xinjiu and forced a pitiful expression on the tomboy's face. When you enter the upper house, your cultivation will definitely be at the bottom. When that time comes, there will inevitably be a lot of sarcasm and ridicule. You might even be expelled during the assessment. Are you sure you want to do this? Yun Chujio asked seriously. As long as I can follow you, nothing will be a problem. Even if I am expelled in the end, I will accept it, Ding Wenru said firmly. Alright, then I will try my best. But if I don't get enough points in the end, I will be powerless. Ding Wenru immediately nodded as if she was pounding garlic. Alright. Let's get your points first. When your points are enough, you can help me earn more points. I'm not in a hurry. Yun Chujio looked up at the sky speechlessly. For some reason she felt that Ding Wenru was very similar to Buttface at this moment. She was just missing a tail. After the two of them finished their discussion, they began to look for the small flag. Yun Chujio had previously asked others about it. Although the grand examination was held in the 1 yuan water pavilion, the content and rules of the examination were different each time. Therefore there was no experience to follow. They could only take one step at a time. They are now in a valley. It does not look like there is any danger. Of course did not see the so-called small flag. Chapter 57:23, The Little Red Flag. Qingqing, what kind of tricks do you think the Academy will come up with to test us? Ding Wenru asked curiously. Who knows? It's nothing more than demonic beasts or formations. Let's wait and see, Yun Chujio said as she looked around. At this moment, Ding Wenru pointed to the front and said, Flag. Yun Chujio looked in the direction that Ding Wenru pointed and saw a small red flag in the distance. The small flag in the assessment was divided into 7 colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue and purple. The red flag had the lowest points and was also the easiest to get. On the contrary, the purple flag had the highest points and was also very difficult to get. Yun Chujio glanced at the small red flag and said with a lack of interest, It's just a small red flag. Why are you so excited? Qingqing, this mosquito leg is also meat. Let's put it away, Ding Wenru said excitedly. She felt that her decision was right. As long as she followed Qingqing, her luck was better than others. She found a flag so quickly. Ding Wenru took 2 steps and 3 steps and hurriedly ran toward the small red flag. However, just as she was about to get close to the small red flag, countless sharp vines emerged from the ground and crazily attacked her. Ding Wenru was shocked. She hurriedly raised her spiritual energy barrier and retreated a distance. Those vines should have an attack range. After reaching a certain distance they would no longer spread. However, since it was a test, it was naturally difficult. It was impossible for the students to easily get their hands on the flag. Ding Wenru released her spiritual fire leopard. Qingqing, let's go together. He Xinjiu touched her chin. She didn't know if the process of the test would be monitored. It was better for her to be cautious and not give herself away. Therefore she said to Ding Wenru, Sister Ding, I'm a little tired. You go alone. Ding Wenru. What happened to the thigh? What happened to holding hands and entering the upper house? Ding Wenru cursed in her heart, but she still directed her spiritual fire leopard to attack the vines. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and watched from the side. The difficulty of the red flag was the lowest. Even if Ding Wenru's cultivation level was only at the third layer of the divine revelation realm, she could still succeed after spending some time. Sure enough, Ding Wenru spent nearly 2 hours to finally remove all the vines and successfully obtain the small red flag. Yun Chujio took the small red flag and looked at it curiously. Ding Wenru's name had already appeared on it. It was very magical. She returned the flag to Ding Wenru and the two of them continued to walk forward. Ching. I think it's already good enough if we don't get eliminated, Ding Wenru said somewhat dispiritedly. Yun Chujio pointed at her own head. Sister Ding's spiritual power is not enough to gather intelligence. PM definitely going to take first place. Ding Wenru was skeptical, but she had already boarded the pirate ship, so she could only place her hopes on He Xinjia's head. The two chatted as they walked and soon they found a small red flag. Apparently there were a lot of small red flags. Ding Wenru learned her lesson this time. She first released the spiritual fire leopard to test it out. The moment the spiritual fire leopard approached the small red flag, countless wind blades shot out from the small red flag. The spiritual fire leopard was quickly dispersed. Chapter 57:24 was so poor that only money was left. Ching, you can't just sit by and do nothing this time. You have to come with me. Otherwise, it will be too much of a waste of time, Ding Wenru said. Yun Chujio said lazily, actually if you want me to say it, you might as well give up this flag. As long as you listen to me you will soon have many flags. Ding Wenru was so angry that she was amused. Ching, I admit that you're smart, but aren't you being a little arrogant? Tell me, how can you let me have so many flags? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. You don't believe me? Then come with me. Ding Wenru saw that Yun Chujio sounded very serious, so she simply gave up on the red flag. She wanted to see how Yun Chujio would let her have so many flags. After the two of them walked for a while, Ding Wenru urged, Ching, where's the flag we agreed on? Where is it? What's the rush? I have to meet someone first. Ding Wenru suddenly stopped in her tracks and widened her eyes. Ching, you're not allowed to rob during the assessment. Besides, even if you did, the name on the flag wouldn't be the two of us. Are you confused? Yun Chujio smiled but didn't say anything. Ding Wenru gritted her teeth. She wanted to see what kind of tricks she had up her sleeves. Needless to say, the two of them soon met the two official students of the Raging Fire Department. The two of them were working together to attack the vines. Their target was a small red flag. Seniors, stop first. I have something important to tell you, Yun Chujio shouted at the top of her voice. The two students didn't understand but they still stopped and looked at Yun Chujio. What is it? Yun Chujio said pitifully, Seniors, you know that PM are good for nothing. If I was ranked in the bottom 100 this time, I would definitely be expelled. I thought about it, I can only buy a few flags. So I plan to buy the flag that you attacked. The two students were a little confused. What do you mean? What do you mean by buying the flag that we attacked? After you destroy the vines, don't take the flag. Let me take it and it'll pay you 2,000 high-grade spirit stones each. Based on the strength of the two of you, this little red flag was only dispensable. Selling it to me wouldn't be a loss for you. What do you think? The two students looked at each other. The points of the little red flag were very little. It was indeed dispensable to them. If they could exchange it for 2,000 spiritual stones, it would not be a loss. Thus, the two of them nodded in agreement. 15 minutes later, He Xinjiao happily obtained a little red flag. The price was 4,000 upper-grade spiritual stones. Ding Wenru was both stunned and shocked. After the two students left, she said, Ching, don't tell me you want to win first place by buying a flag? Yun Chujio nodded very seriously. Congratulations, you got it right? Ding Wenru. Ching, your method definitely won't work. Don't look at how those two people agreed to sell you the flag just now. The others might not agree. Moreover, if you want our points to be tied for first place, you have to surpass the second place by 1,000 points. How many spirit stones do you need? Can you afford it? Since the two of them agree, others will also agree. Because the little red or orange flags are not valuable, it won't affect their grades. They will be very happy to sell it to me. Don't forget, only the top 1,000 students can enter the middle court. The vast majority of students are ranked in the top 1,001 place. There is no essential difference. Why don't they change the flags into money? As for money, I am so poor that only money is left. Chapter 57-25 Buying a flag. Ding Wenru was dumbfounded when she heard Yun Chujia's words. She felt that her worldview had been refreshed. How could she still play like this? Buy a flag to enter the upper house with spirit stones? She thought carefully and realized that Yun Chujia's words really made sense. For many students, since they had no hope of entering the middle house, why didn't they exchange the flag for spirit stones? With spirit stones they could have better cultivation resources. It was many times better than the ranking with no practical use. But could it really work? Ding Wenru's doubts were quickly dispelled. Because in the next few days, unless it was a student who had the ambition to break into the top 1,000, the rest of the students readily agreed. It would be a fool not to earn money. Some students even asked her and Yun Chujio to follow them so that they could sell more flags to them. Hence, Yun Chujio came up with a new idea. She organized more and more people to gather together. Every time they saw a flag they would sell it to Yun Chujio. After that, they would split the spirit stones equally. However, as Yun Chujio got more and more flags, some students began to feel a little unbalanced. If Yan Qingqing got so many flags, wouldn't she be able to enter the middle school? He Xinjiu had already anticipated such a situation. She did not hold back and went straight to the point. I know what you are thinking. You simply think that I can enter the central courtyard by relying on your flags, while you can only stay in the lower house. Your hearts are not balanced. However, don't forget that even if you don't sell me your flags, you will not be able to enter the central courtyard. Moreover, I didn't ask for your flags for nothing. I paid a huge amount of spirit stones. This is all the hard-earned money that I worked hard to earn. After being beaten up by her, the crowd had gotten rid of their unbalanced thoughts. Besides, they felt that Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru were asking for it when they entered the central courtyard. With their level of trash they would be expelled sooner or later. On the way Yun Chujio met Qin Linglong and Ding Wenru. She secretly told them about her and Ding Wenru's plans and asked for their opinions. Since they were friends they would naturally not favor one over the other. If they were willing, Yun Chujio would also agree to let the two of them become equal first. After all, the business was going smoothly. However, they did not expect that Qin Linglong and Gu Liani would reject Yun Chujio's proposal. Qingqing, thank you for your good intentions, but we know our own limits. Let alone the upper house, even the middle house might not be able to. Qin Linglong said. The purpose of entering the 10 Directions Academy was to cultivate well, so it was more important to choose a suitable place and not to aim too high. Everyone had their own aspirations, so they naturally couldn't force it. Yun Chujio respected their choice. Moreover, Yun Chujio felt that what they said made sense. In fact, if Ding Wenru had not shamelessly insisted on going with her, she would have also wanted her to stay in the lower house. Yun Chujio's business was in full swing, and many people were extremely envious, such as Fan Chi. He had long hated Yun Chujio to the bone, but he had no way to take revenge. Now that he saw that Yun Chujio actually wanted to use the method of buying flags to enter the middle house, he sneered in his heart. This Yan Qingqing was really daydreaming. She actually wanted to rely on this method to enter the middle house? Wishful thinking. When he got out, he would expose her cheating behavior to the principal and make her come up empty-handed. Chapter 57-26. They cheated when the exam was about to end. He Xinjiu and Ding Wenru began to count their flags. They destroyed the extra flags to ensure that their points would be the same. Ding Wenru was so happy that she was about to fly. She swore that she would hold on to Yun Chujio's golden legs for the rest of her life. Just as she was bubbling with joy, Yun Chujio handed her a piece of paper. Sign your name and press your fingerprint. Ding Wenru looked at the dazzling amount of debt on it and felt that she would never be able to pay it off in this lifetime. Well, she still hadn't paid off the sponsorship fees from last time. She said with a bitter face, Qingqing, why don't you just give me a contract to sell your body? It'll be yours from now on. Yun Chujio glanced at her and said indifferently, what I lack is not a servant but a friend. Ding Wenru's originally laughing expression suddenly froze. After a long while she said word by word, good. From now on we will be friends through life and death. Although I, Ding Wenru, am stupid, at the very least I still have a life. If there is a time when I can be of use, I will protect you with my life. Yun Chujio stretched out her hand and Ding Wenru also stretched out her hand. The two of them high-fived each other. From now on they would live and die together. They would advance and retreat together, taking care of each other with courage. Finally, it was time for the grand examination to end. Everyone was teleported outside the boundary. President He and the others were already waiting outside. Furthermore, there was a lecturer who specialized in counting flags. There was no need to count them one by one. As long as the flags were placed on a specific formation plate, the points would be displayed. The students began to scramble to hand over the flags. However, Yun Chujio was leisurely watching from behind. Only when the show came to an end would it be shocking. Only the top 1,000 names were displayed on the shadow stone. As more and more points kept appearing, the list of names was also changing at any time. President He saw that Yun Chujio had not come forward to verify her points. He thought that this little girl who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth was probably afraid of losing face, which was why she had not verified her points. Could it be that her points were pitifully low and she would be expelled? Just as President He was thinking about it, Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru walked up to the two lecturers respectively and poured the flags in their storage rings onto the formation disc. The lecturers were all dumbfounded. Why were there so many? Although they were all red, orange and yellow flags with low points, they could not withstand the large number. President He was also stunned. Yun Chujio and her lack. How was this possible? When the numbers on the shadow stone were displayed, President He staggered. Yan Qingqing, 18,888 points. Ding Wenru, 18,888 points. The candidate who was pushed to third place, the pitiful 5,000 points behind his name, seemed like a joke. The entire venue was dead silent. Such a situation had never happened before. This was too unbelievable. Yun Chujio walked in front of President He with a smile. President He, I told you I would amaze everyone, right? Do you think that Ding Wenru and I have fulfilled the conditions to enter the upper house? The first thought that flashed through President He's mind was, did something go wrong when they planted the flag? So they picked up a loophole? However, no matter what the reason was, the result was already here. He could not deny what he had said. Moreover, the academy did have such a rule. At this moment, Fan Qi said loudly, President, Yan Qingqing and Ding Wenru are cheating. Chapter 57:27, How could it be wrong? President He's gaze froze as he looked at Fan Qi. What's going on? These flags were purchased by Yan Qingqing and Ding Wenru with spirit stones. They weren't obtained by their own strength at all. President He, please investigate. Fan Qi immediately brought up the matter of Yun Chujio buying the flags. After saying that, he looked at Yun Chujio with a cold smile. You wanted to enter the upper house? Dream on. President He and the other lecturers were dumbstruck. Oh God, they could still play like this? Were the previous students too honest, or were Yan Qingqing and Ding Wenru too treacherous? After recovering from his shock, President He's face darkened. Yan Qingqing, Ding Wenru, what do you have to say? Ding Wenru hated Fan Qi to death. She wished she could go up and slap him to death. It's over, I'm afraid I won't be able to go to the upper academy anymore. The spirit stones that could topple cities would also go down the drain. However, there was not the slightest trace of panic on Yun Chujio's face. There was even a faint smile on her face. President, I admit that those flags were indeed bought by me with spirit stones. President He immediately flew into a rage. Nonsense. How can the grand examination be child's play? The results of the two of you are invalid. President, please don't be angry. Let me finish my words. Yun Chujio said calmly. President He glared at her. What else do you have to say? This is outrageous. You are violating the rules of the academy. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. President, which rule says that you are not allowed to exchange spirit stones for flags? President He went through the rules of the academy, but there was really no such rule. Besides this guy in front of him, no one else would come up with such a bad idea. Naturally, there was no relevant rule. Hey Shinjio continued, is there no such rule? Since there is no such rule, what's wrong with me doing this? I earned those spirit stones with my strength, and I used the spirit stones earned with my strength to exchange for flags. In this way, didn't I exchange for flags with my strength? Moreover, even if we were to go and snatch the treasure after graduation in the future, wouldn't it count if I used the spirit stones to hire people to help me search for the treasure? Moreover, I did this in order to give you a reminder. In the future, when you take the examination again, you can add this clause to prevent others from taking advantage of this loophole. I have put in a lot of effort. President He. This Yan Qingqing really had a sharp tongue. Even if she was dead, she could still be said to be alive. Black could also be said to be white. It was clearly a cheating act of stealing a trick, but she had forcefully said that she had put in a lot of effort. She was really shameless. However, regardless of whether it was the rules that had been announced previously or the rules of the 10 Directions Academy, there was no such rule. However, letting the two of them enter the upper house just like that was too easy for them. Moreover, what would the other students think? What would the teachers and students of the upper house think? This was simply a joke. After weighing the pros and cons, President He said, "We will discuss this matter later." Regardless of whether Yan Qingqing and Ding Wenru will enter the upper house or not, the two of them will not occupy the spots in the middle house. The remaining 1,000 people will be qualified to enter the middle house. The people ranked 1001 and 1002 nearly burst into tears. They thought that they were unlucky enough to fail in the ranking. However, they did not expect the situation to change. This was really something to celebrate. After returning to the waterside pavilion of the lower house, President He and the group of lecturers began to discuss the matter between Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru. The focus of the discussion was whether their results counted or not. Forget it, I'll talk to you here. Are you going to let the upper academy decide the matter between Ding Wenru and me? He Xinjiu blinked and asked. President He said unhappily, so what if I am? President He. You will definitely regret it if you do this. President He snorted coldly, regret? If you went to the upper house to talk about it now, how do you think the upper house would react? There were only two scenarios. One was to confirm Ding Wenru and PS results and admit us. The other was to invalidate our results and make us drop out of school. No matter which scenario it was, the lower house and you would become a laughingstock. You would become a target for some people in the upper house to attack you in the future, because Ding Wenru and I are your dear students. As the saying goes, if you don't study hard, you will be blamed for our mistakes. That's why you must not go to the upper house. As the saying goes, one must not spread one's dirty laundry. If we quietly turn a big issue into a small one, it will be over. Why do we have to go to the upper house and make a fool of ourselves? President He glared at her and said, "Don't talk nonsense. We are all colleagues. There is no sworn enemy. If you can stay in the upper house, you should focus on your cultivation. You should know that the upper house has its own assessment system. If you are ranked behind, you will be sent back to the middle house. Oh, you too will probably be sent back to the lower house. That will be even more embarrassing." He Xinjiu pursed her lips in her heart, but she still replied obediently, "We will definitely remember your teachings. If you need us in the future, please feel free to instruct us, President. We will go through fire and water without hesitation." Although President He felt that it was impossible for him to use her for any help, he was more or less touched by her words. He sighed. The students of the upper house are all favored by the heavens, and many of them have powerful backgrounds. Don't make too much trouble when you get to the upper house or you might not be able to save yourself. President, you know me well. I have always been obedient and sensible. I'm a good student who follows the rules. I won't cause any trouble, He Xinjiu said very naturally. President He. Chapter 5730 was all bought as they spoke. The ship had already docked at the pier of the upper house's waterside pavilion. President He brought Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru off the ship. After the guards checked their identities, they entered the upper house. As soon as they entered, they met President Hua of the middle house. The students who had passed the examination in the middle house also had to go through the admission procedures today, so President Hua came over early as well. President Hua saw President He and cupped his fists from afar. President He, what a coincidence. Are you here to take care of business in the upper house? President He's face stiffened slightly. He pointed at He Xinjiu and Ding Wenru behind him and said unnaturally, "There are two students in our lower house who meet the requirements to be directly promoted to the upper house, so I brought them here to go through the admission procedures." Since President He had issued a gag order, the news of Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru buying flags had not spread. Therefore, President Hua was shocked immediately. His eyes fell on Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru, and his expression became a little strange. One was at the 9th level of Spirit Extinguisher, and the other was at the 3rd level of Divine Enlightenment? What a joke. With such cultivation they could not even enter the middle house, let alone the upper house. President He, are you kidding me? President He's face became even stiffer. He said vaguely, "They have obtained very high points in the exam and their points are the same. Therefore, according to the Academy's rules, they meet the conditions to enter the upper house." President Hua felt that there must be something fishy going on, but seeing that President He didn't want to say more, he didn't ask further. Anyway, he would know the truth when he got to the enrollment formalities. Behind President Hua stood many students from the Central Academy. They were among the top 100 students in the Central Academy's entrance exam and had obtained the right to enter the Upper Academy. They looked at Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru with eyes full of suspicion and disdain. These two had actually been promoted from the Lower Academy to the Upper Academy? How was this possible? President He and President Hua chatted as they walked and quickly arrived at the registration area. The admission of new students was a major event. Therefore, other than Manager Yang, who was in charge of the registration, the other branches of the upper house each sent a vice-chancellor to oversee the registration. Yun Chujio knew 4 of them. Among them, she had met Vice-Chancellor Dong Feng, Vice-Chancellor Mu, and Vice-Chancellor Duanmu when they went to the lower house to give lectures. She had met Vice-Chancellor Duanmu in particular when they were in the Chongshao continent. There was also an old acquaintance, which was Vice-Chancellor Xiao. In addition to these 4 people, there were also 2 old men. Everyone saw President Hua and President He stand up to greet each other. While Vice-Chancellor Xiao was greeting each other, the corner of his eyes fell on Yun Chujio, and a trace of sternness flashed across his eyes. After greeting each other, President He remembered what Yun Chujio had said before. He spoke to Manager Yang, who was handling the admission procedures. First, Yan Qingqing and Ding Wenru from the lower house have tied for the first place in the grand examination. They are also 13,000 points higher than the second place, so they are eligible to enter the upper house directly. This is the certificate. I still have something to do in the lower house. Goodbye. After saying that, President He left as if he was flying. Even President Hua's shouts from behind did not stop him. Instead, he walked even faster, looking as if he was fleeing in a panic. Everyone. Manager Yang, who had gone through the admission procedures, looked at the certificate in his hand and was immediately dumbfounded. Because the remarks below clearly stated the reason why Yan Qingqing and Ding Wenru had obtained such a huge amount of points, their flags were all bought. He quickly apologized to the other 5 people. Everyone, I didn't mean that. I was just angered by the shameless actions of these 2 students. I was a little reckless for a moment. Please forgive me. The other 5 vice-chancellors naturally wouldn't really fall out. As for what they were thinking, no one knew. Manager Yang looked troubled. Vice-chancellors, are these 2 students going to accept them or return to the lower house? The vice-chancellors looked at each other and cursed President He in their hearts. No wonder he ran away faster than a rabbit. It turned out that he had already expected such a scene. He was too cunning. What should they do now? At this moment, Yun Chujio bowed and said, Vice-chancellors, the loophole in buying the flag is because the rules are not perfect. It should not be us who bear the consequences. As the saying goes, one cannot be a square without rules. Since Ding Wenru and I have met the admission requirements according to the rules, we are students of the upper house. If we are sent back to the lower house, won't the rules of the academy become a piece of empty paper? It will become a big joke. I believe that the 6 vice-chancellors are sensible teachers who respect the rules. They will definitely give us 2 innocent students a fair treatment. Chapter 5732. President Gu, who was reprimanded, the corners of everyone's eyes twitched violently. Innocent and innocent? Are you sure you didn't misunderstand the meaning of these words? Did someone use a knife to force you to use spirit stones to buy a flag? And you're innocent and innocent? Shameless. Vice Director Duanmu and the others paid attention to the words, be reasonable and respect the rules. From what she said, if they weren't allowed to enter the upper house, wouldn't they be unreasonable and not respect the rules? Vice-Chancellor Xiao said with a gloomy face, no matter how she talks, the results of the 2 of them are not above board. Everyone, I suggest that we send them back to the lower house. The other 5 vice-chancellors also felt that Yun Chujio, Ding Wenru and the others were just opportunistic and did not have the qualifications to enter the upper house. However, they took advantage of the loophole and were in a dilemma. Vice-Chancellor Duanmu pondered for a moment and said, since we can't make a decision, why don't we report this matter to President Gu? What do you all think? The others immediately nodded in agreement. They had finally thrown this hot potato out. Immediately, Vice-Chancellor Duanmu took out his identity jade token and reported the matter to President Gu. On the other side, President Gu was in the back mountain of the upper house, getting scolded. President Gu stood there like a quail. In front of him stood 2 old men. One of the tall old men pointed at President Gus's nose and cursed angrily, as the president of the upper house of the 10-Directional Academy and the president of the 10-Directional Academy, you don't even know that your shadow guard has been switched. Is that a pig's brain on your neck? If Wuxian hadn't happened to find that corpse, I'm afraid that you wouldn't even know that your head has been chopped off. You are so careless. If the disaster came, wouldn't the 10 Directions Academy be destroyed by your hands? You really make me so angry. President Gu was reprimanded like a grandson. He kept wiping the cold sweat on his head and didn't dare to say a word to refute himself. It was his fault that the people who scolded him couldn't be provoked. Alright, everyone has their moments of carelessness. Moreover, those shadow guards rarely show their faces, so it's not strange that he didn't notice. Since it has already happened, it's useless to scold him. We are going into seclusion soon, so you'd better talk to him about some serious matters. The short elder advised. The tall elder glared at President Gu and then said, after we go into seclusion, you have to pay close attention to the situation of Tao Tai's seal. But there's no need to interfere. What should come will come eventually. The students of the academy had been living too comfortably these years. If disaster really came, it would be useless. Find an opportunity to throw them into the 6 Directions Waterside Pavilion and let them experience it. President Gu was suddenly shocked. He mumbled, the 6 Directions Waterside Pavilion is connected to the seal of Tao Tai. Many of the monsters in it have been contaminated by the fierce aura of Tao Tai. Even the lecturers may not be able to escape unscathed. If the students were to go to the 6 Directions Waterside Pavilion to train, I'm afraid? Humph. What do you know? Only when they are in a life-and-death situation can their fighting spirit and potential be stimulated. Otherwise, what's the use of raising a bunch of little sheep? The tall old man rebuked angrily. President Gu shrunk his neck and didn't dare to speak anymore. Alright, we are going into closed-door cultivation. If it's not an emergency, don't disturb us. Scram back. The tall old man said snappily. President Gu politely bowed and took his leave. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and realized that his identity jade tablet had been trembling non-stop. He hadn't noticed it earlier. When he heard the news inside, his first reaction was to send the person back to the lower house. However, when he heard the names of the 2 students, he changed his mind. Which branch did chapter 5733 go to? Yan Qingqing? When President he had given him the corpse, he had told him that it was a student named Yan Qingqing who had fished up the corpse. If not for the fact that she had fished up the corpse, it would not have taken long for the corpse to be devoured by the sea beasts. He would not have been able to discover that one of his shadow guards had been swapped out. Speaking of which, he should be thanking Yan Qingqing instead. Thinking of this, President Gu replied, the responsibility for this incident lies with the academy and has nothing to do with the 2 of them. Since they meet the conditions to enter the upper house, let's handle it according to the established procedures. Vice-Chancellor Duanmu repeated President Gus's reply. Although Vice-Chancellor Xiao was so angry that he gritted his teeth, it was already a done deal. There was nothing he could do about it. He Xingjiu was naturally very happy. If it wasn't for President Gu's miraculous stroke, she would have to spend a lot of effort to convince him to stay. This fellow had labeled President Gu as a good person in his heart. Manager Yang saw that the matter had been settled and began to handle the admission procedures for Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru. However, there was another problem. The middle and upper houses of the 10 Directions Academy were set up according to the principles of spiritual power, pill refinement, talisman seal, beast taming, array formation, and artifact refining. Therefore, after the students of the middle house were admitted to the upper house, they could directly enter the corresponding branches. However, the lower house was set up according to the spirit root branch. So which of the 6 branches should these 2 students enter? Manager Yang turned to look at the 6 vice-chancellors. Vice-chancellors, which branch should these 2 students enter? The 6 chancellors looked at each other, and Vice-Chancellor Mu of the beast-taming branch hurriedly expressed his stance. Our beast-taming branch has a higher requirement for cultivation, and the 2 of them don't quite meet it. Vice-Chancellor Dongfeng of the Talisman Division also hurriedly said, the 2 of them have fire spirit roots, so it's not suitable for them to enter our Talisman Division. Vice-Chancellor Duanmu, I think your Alchemy Division is more suitable. Vice-Chancellor Duanmu of the Alchemy Division glared at him and said, Alchemy requires talent. It's more suitable for the 2 of them to go to the Spirit Power Division. Vice-Chancellor Xiao snorted, our spirit faculty doesn't want trash. Almost instantly, the 6 vice-chancellors expressed their unwillingness to take over Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru. The situation immediately back. So what if they took advantage of the situation to enter the upper faculty? No faculty was willing to accept them? They deserved it. Manager Yang looked troubled. The 6 branches were not willing to accept them. What was he supposed to do? He looked at Yun Chujio and Ding Wenru sympathetically. He thought to himself, these 2 students were just looking for trouble. It would be great if they were studying in the lower house, but they had to come to the upper house to be tortured. But now none of the branches were willing to accept them. They were so pitiful and pitiful. Yun Chujio sighed. Manager Yang, are there no other branches apart from the 6 major branches? Why don't you just set up a separate branch for the 2 of us to avoid being despised by others? The moment Yun Chujio's words left her mouth, it immediately attracted a wave of boos. How shameless. Who does she think she is? She even set up a separate branch for them? Why doesn't she go to heaven? That's right. If I were them, I would quickly scram back to the lower house to avoid embarrassing myself. Since no branch is willing to take them in, I guess they can only scram back to the lower house. Actually, they can also do odd jobs in the upper house instead of going back to the lower house. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.